Chapter 101. Nathan and Ayaka. The party was big and luxurious. Michelle, Tasha, and Ayaka already dressed up beautifully, wearing a dress that suited their characters. Kai complimented each of them and sat on the side since this was not really his thing. A few tried to have a conversation with him, but disappointed by the result. And they could not approach him as Michelle and Tasha stood on his side. He did not mind since the star of this party was Michelle. No one would have a party this big except two people who were Michelle and Nathan. As the former family's head, Nathan deserved a party like this, while Michelle was the current S-rank magician in the family. In the middle of the party, Nathan observed Ayaka carefully. He was aware of Tasha and Sakura, thinking it would be no problem to pair them up with Kai. It was different for Ayaka, who only knew Kai for 2 months. He only recognized the Kudo group in United Asia, not her. He wanted to see if Ayaka was a person that would lead the family to ruin or not. When their eyes met, Nathan closed his eyes for a few seconds before calling her to him. "Come here." Ayaka was a bit unsure about this, thinking of calling Kai. Surprisingly, she buried that thought as she walked toward him with a serious expression. "Greetings, Elder Umu." He nodded while sending a fierce glare at her. "May I know if there is anything I can do to help, Elder?" Ayaka asked politely. "There is certainly something I want to ask you." Nathan paused a little, creating tension between them. Luckily, no one realized this other than Kai, thinking it was just a small chat. Surprisingly, his next statement shocked Ayaka. "My request is simply for you to stay away from Kai." Hua. She wanted to rebuke him, but Nathan only put his finger on his mouth, telling her to shut up for a bit. Tasha also has been with him for a few years, and I could say that both have overcome strife and carnage together with him, which I can understand. And that mysterious Sakura. I don't really care about her, but it is true that she managed to change him. As for my own granddaughter, Michelle has been with him longer than Tasha. In her heart, there is only him. Even the family is number 2 in her eyes. I won't say anything about their experiences, but I could say that Kai would always be the number 1 for her. She trained and trained. In the extreme weather, or even when her body was tattered, her hands were bleeding, or it was too hard for her to stand anymore, she still stood tall and trained. At that time, I was wondering why. But do you know what she said? She said, even facing a million beasts is easier than seeing him hurt. She trained for him and he trained to protect her. Ultimately, I accepted their relationship. However, now we have you who suddenly intrude on their relationship. A pest who can't do anything without support. I have investigated you, Kudo Group's princess. You are just the same as the other youngsters. Ignorance. Spoiled by your family and won't be able to do anything without them. Nathan narrowed his eyes. "No, I am not." She was amazed by the story, but when he said something about her, she took offense. "Ho, you can only achieve everything because of him. To be honest, you are his source of trouble. Because of you, his family is in danger, and without your family, I doubt he will take you to this base. Correct me if I am wrong." He released a kind of pressure. She wanted to say something, but he did not say anything wrong. Each girl on his side has something special. However, I don't find that in you. If I am not wrong, you want to get stronger to help your family before you help him. Then, doesn't it mean if your family wants you to kill him, you will kill him? Ayaka paused a bit. She closed her eyes, seeking the answer. "You are half right. I do find my family is number 1 while he is the second. However, if my family wants to kill him, I won't kill him." Empty words. What? You were going to say you will only watch from the sideline and not help any other side? Or do you want to help him and fight your own family? Can you even do that? He snorted. "No, my family and I were just a stranger to him a few months ago. Even with his sister's reputation, our path is not crossed. I admit I got close to him because I idolized his sister, but I realized what pulled me in was him, not her." Ayaka's expression turned serious. She continued, "If the friction between is happening because of me, then I will gladly lay my life down. With that, I will sever the relationship and the friction between us because I know he deserves more." Nathan stared at her for a while before saying, "I will accept that answer for now. Unfortunately, that still does not change the fact you are only his burden. I wish to get stronger. I am sick of being nothing but a burden to him. If I know how to get stronger, I will take that path, no matter how dangerous it is. Ayaka clenched her fists. Oh, no matter how dangerous it is. This is certainly not light. Nathan paused for a few seconds. There is one method that can get you stronger. One method. What is it? Please tell me. It's simple. Go to the front line without a person beside you. You will be able to think for yourself, utilize your magic efficiently, and so on. He smirked. The problem is whether you dare to take it or not. Ayaka was taken aback, not expecting such an answer. It was like he said, if she went alone to the front line and fought magical beasts alone, she would need to use her brain to make the strategy. Because she would die at any moment, she would try to make the best decision for survival. She would also try to use her magic efficiently, so she would not use up her magic. She suddenly remembered the words her grandfather once said, "There is nothing better for training than a real battle." Thinking of this, she realized what he meant by that. She clenched her fists, thinking of leaving Lion Group for a while, and headed to the front line alone. If she managed to survive, then she could proudly stand by his side. If she died, then Kai would certainly deserve a better girl than her. Looking at her expression, Nathan knew this girl would certainly do it. He shook his head helplessly and said, "All right, I should stop teasing you." Teasing. Ayaka opened her mouth, confused. Yep, teasing. Do you believe that the front line is the best? If you want to suicide, then it is true that the place is the best. If you're going to get stronger, there are many more places than that place. You can get a powerful soldier just by creating them. Still, if you want an elite soldier, then you need to throw them to gather as much experience as they could. Strength, brain, and experience. Only if these three are fulfilled, you can be an elite. Kai, Tasha, and Michelle have been equipped with these three things. As for you, you clearly lack experience. And if I throw you out there, I am worried about my intelligence. Besides, there is no way the army would let you do so. Nathan shrugged his shoulder, looking at her dumbfounded face. Although this does not mean I approve of you, I will tell you one thing. This is related to your fire magic. You must have felt that the winter would restrict your fire magic, right? Ayaka nodded. It is because of the cold, or it can be said, the power of nature. Your fire might not be as powerful as usual, or it would take more magic power to maintain it, or even be extinguished by the cold. Actually, there is another powerful strength that lies inside your body. Another strength. Do you know what Michelle's element is? Darkness or shadow? Nah. In the past, her element was darkness. She can't even use a shadow, which became her main power now. He shrugged. He managed to awaken her power. Thus, the shadow power was born. It is a power inside all of us, but only certain people could awaken them. Even I can't awaken it. What is this power? You do realize that we can imbue science thingy into our magic, right? He asked. Yes. Just like a sci-fi book, there is always fiction behind science. If you say that your current power is science, then this other strength is your fictional strength. A few people have managed to awaken them in the past, but there is not really research about it. We don't even know the condition to awaken it. However, I do believe if you can awaken that power, you will be able to contend with Tasha or Michelle. Anyway, don't say anything about this to anyone, including you, Shy Brat. She never heard anything like this back in United Asia. Little did she know what he told her was a state secret. Kai rolled his eyes when he heard this from afar. All right, this old man should shut up now and let the young do their own thing. Nathan sighed before recalling something. Actually, there is one more thing, and close your ears, Steidi Brat, as you should not hear this. Hearing that request, Kai sighed and used his sound insulation magic on his ears, confusing the people around him. Chapter 1-4. Battle Plan. The party progressed smoothly, and Ayaka also came back not long after while Kai removed the magic. He did not know what they were talking about, but there was this determination and doubt in her eyes, halting him from asking questions. In the end, Kai could only say, "If you need any help, just ask." Ayaka could not make a big smile because of all the things she just learned. She nodded. "It's fine, I will be all right." She knew if Kai wanted to hear their conversation, it would be easy for him. Knowing he did not listen to their conversation meant he trusted both Nathan and her. And this was the thing she needed at the moment. She walked past him before turning around, staring at his back. All past memories kept replaying in her mind. She just realized, despite knowing him for only a few months, they had gone through a lot. She said inwardly, "Wait for me. I will definitely walk beside you, not behind you." This time, it is not an empty promise. Time was all she needed. She might not be able to make it at the group battle against Isabel, but there was still time until they needed to take the third mission. If not the third mission, then the fourth mission. She set a time limit to herself, and if she could not complete her objective before the time limit, she would take the other road. Michelle took a glimpse of her expression and knew exactly what kind of expression that was. It was the same expression she had when she started her training. Looking at Ayaka now, she could only smile and cheer for her silently. On the other hand, Tasha was leaving the party as she could not stand with the rich people. They flaunted and so on, trying to impress her. She did not have the same patience as Kai, so she left. 2 hours later, the party finally ended where Michelle led them to their own room. Michelle tried to get the same room as him, but was stopped by a single word of Kai. The same applied to Tasha. They could only sulk in their own room. On the day, they would stroll around in the city. Meanwhile, Ayaka did not come or talk to him when they were here. Every time she was inside her room, she would only stare at the ceiling with blank eyes. She knew her goal but did not know where to start. The only thing she could do was to try anything she could think of. And just like that, 3 days passed by. They went back to school. Shirotsuka Sanae and Mano Yuki had already gone back after a one-day holiday. Yuki aside, Sanae certainly could not get a long vacation considering she was a new teacher. After going back, Sanae searched for any information about Isabel Fisher and the others, albeit she could get it easier just by asking Evan Young. When they finally came back to school and gathered in room 420 again, the first thing they discussed was the upcoming battle. Evan handed them a few papers containing their opponent's data. He explained, they have 2 A-rank and 3 B-rank magicians. The first one is a man named Nicholas. He is using a shield and a spear. He is 18 years old, B-rank, Earth magician. He can make a huge earth wall. And if my prediction is correct, he will try to make a base or labyrinth so Isabel can get a good and safe sniping position. Then there is this twin. The elder is Eve Burton, a rank fire magician, while the younger one is Eva Burton, a B-rank fire magician. I heard when they are combined, they can bring down 3 A-rank magicians. The fourth person is another A-rank ice magician, Tommy Jackson. This person is very powerful and might become the greatest factor in this match. It can be said this person is the strategist of this group. However, as expected, the most important person in this group will be their leader, Isabel Fisher. Although she is only a B-rank wind magician, her power is no joke, specifically her sniping ability. She can shoot a sniper while running, and most importantly, she is very accurate. Evan finished his report and sat. Kai looked at this detailed information, and it seemed he was correct in bringing him here. He looked at this muscular brown-haired man, the twin blonde teens, blue-haired prince, and pink-haired annoying leader. He glanced at Sanae's expression, asking, does teacher want to give any input? The arena has not been decided yet, so I don't know what kind of place will be the battlefield. However, I have made a few simulations for the battle, and I think you want to know about this. She closed her eyes, recalling the battle simulations. It's a rare occurrence to see you put effort like this, teacher, Kai smirked. Shut up. It is only a few hours of work. And don't you know, since I have become your instructor, I can get 10% of your hard work, including the 15% you put for the group's purpose. All of you only get 15% of the money. She rolled her eyes. That's why I should, at least, become a good instructor. I can revert back to the lazy teacher though, nah. This is good. He shook his head. She nodded and continued. Well, through all the simulations in my head, the enemy will most likely split themselves. After all, if they are trying to fight all of you at the same time, they will lose. As for the pairing, I assume Nicholas will fight Tasha, Tommy against Ayaka. As for the twin and their leader, their target would be either Kai and Michelle. Since Michelle is a well-known S-rank magician, they might have their leader to fight her. Still, considering her interest in you, she might fight Kai while the twin holds Michelle back. Well, I apologize since I can't really fight and become a burden. If you are injured, I can heal you in a jiffy. As long as we have time, you can fight again and again without injury. That's why I will stand behind. Evan added. Kai closed his eyes, running a battle simulation inside his mind. With his shield, Nicholas would pose big trouble to Tasha. As for Tommy, he had an elemental advantage against Ayaka. Kai considered the interest of Isabel and became her opponent while Michelle handled the twin. Ayaka suddenly said with an ashamed tone, "As expected, I will be the target again since I am the weakest link." As she said, all of them had their roles. The twin was functioning as a shield that protected their general, Isabel. Nicholas acted as a buffer, not letting Tasha, the Lion Group's biggest factor, change the tide. Last but not least, Tommy became their spear, thrusting their weakest link and gained the advantage. Kai took a glimpse of her expression and said, "We have a miracle doctor in our team that won't let anyone die. We have 3 swords that can penetrate their defenses, and I believe we also have a guardian deity that will block everything they throw in our way. The moment their spear, Tommy, is broken, we will gain a huge advantage in the battle, and I need to say our winning probability will go as high as 90%. That's why it's on you." Ayaka's body shook. Even though she became a burden, Kai still trusted her for the most important position. She thought Tasha would fight Tommy while she was stalling Nicholas. The trust Kai put on her hand felt so heavy. She looked at the others who had confidence in her and clenched her fists. "I won't disappoint you." Looking at her expression, he smiled before turning to his sister. "Sister, do you like to play an extreme difficulty game that makes you try again and again?" "Of course not." She shook her head before realizing what he meant. "I see, so that is the plan. Yes, I am leaving it to you." He nodded before telling Michelle's the plan. "If I say I will defeat Isabel Fisher." Before he finished, she already answered, "It's obvious. I am your shadow, and my job is to support you. You don't need to worry because no one would interfere with your battle. My request is beat her to a pulp. Don't be really hard on her. Even though she is annoying, she is a good girl. She is just too energetic." Evan interjected, "Oh, this is really interesting." Michelle grinned, looking at Evan with a teasing glance. Evan had no change in expression and replied, "Nah, she is just someone that wants to prove her effort does not go to waste. If you can get past that annoying side of her, you can see her as a good friend, Fufu." "It would seem that our Evan has feelings for Isabel," Michelle teased him. "Nope," Evan shook his head. "I just want to warn you, if you beat her to a pulp, she would try anything to fight you again. If you don't want to be bothered by her, then I suggest you just show the difference in power but not do anything excessive. Teach, you are boring." She clicked her tongue. "Well, sorry about that," he shrugged. "Anyway, it seems we have our plan already. There is still a week left before the fight, so make all the preparation you need." Kai looked at all of them. "Anyone want to add something?" "No." All of them shook their heads. "All right. Then the meeting ends here." Chapter 103. Group Battle, Part 1. A week later, the night before the battle, Ayaka walked to her balcony, looking at the beautiful night sky. Her hand gripped the balcony railings, shaking. The thought of messing up in tomorrow's battle crept in her heart, making her unable to sleep. "Grandfather, please watch me in tomorrow's battle no matter what it takes. I won't disappoint anyone." She closed her eyes and swore. Meanwhile, the others were also making their preparations. Michelle was training her magic in her backyard. Tasha was wiping her bow, making sure she could use it tomorrow. Evan Young was typing something on his computer, searching their opponent data to make sure he did not leave a single thing. As for Sanai, she was sleeping soundly in her room. For her, having a good sleep before a battle was the greatest preparation, albeit she did it too much, as it was only 8 p.m. Lastly, Kai was shaking inside his room, sweating like crazy. He tried to raise his shaky hand and smirked. "This is it. I can use it as my trump card." Although he was rushing a bit, he finally finished his magic idea. After that, he fell asleep while smiling. The same applied to the enemy. Isabel knew what to do in tomorrow's battle. Even though the Lion Group was created not long ago, they were full of insane people. 2 Zodiacs and 2 S-rank magicians. That alone would be enough to destroy their group if they were not careful. As for her subordinates, they also knew the weight of this battle. If they messed up a little bit, the point would not really matter, but their reputation would. The next day, All parties assembled in their respective rooms. The news spread like crazy, and almost all students gathered inside the auditorium. If they needed a ticket to watch this match, it would sell better than a cold drink in the hot summer. Some students did not even care whether they got a seat or not. After all, they knew this was a battle between the current 8th group and Michelle Graham. If that were all to it, the room would not be this full. The most surprising thing was the leader of Lion Group was an unknown young man instead of the famous Michelle Graham. The middle and bottom groups could learn many things from this battle, while the top group treated this battle to investigate their soon-to-be rival. The students looked around, finding each group like the first-ranked group, Dawn, or even the second-ranked group, Golden, and many others. An hour before the battle, a student and a teacher came in, sitting in a commentator seat. The student had a brown-haired coconut haircut and wore big, round glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will witness a legendary battle between Eagle Group and a new group called Lion Group, with me as the commentator from Studio Group, Diego. According to the information, the famous S-rank magician, Michelle Graham, created this group not long ago. However, I'm curious as to why she is not the group leader. Instead, she gives it to an unknown man called Kai Carter. And it would seem his sister, Tasha Carter, is an S-rank space magician. This group is undoubtedly overpowered. If I am not wrong, they were citizens of United Asia Base not long ago. For this question, I believe I should ask someone for it. That's why, for today's occasion, I have a special guest that will help me comment on the match and know more about this Lion Group. Please give warm applause to Michelle Graham's personal teacher, Mano Yuki. The applause from almost every student in the school echoed inside the huge auditorium. Mano Yuki here. Well, I can't really say anything about this group since they are new. As for that question, I think it will be fine to say these two things, since some of you already know anyway. Kai Carter is the son-in-law of Graham family. Wait, he is still her fiancé, so not yet. And as far as I know, Michelle never beat him in a physical fight alone. Her words silenced the loud auditorium. They were stupefied, wondering if their ears were playing them. Even Diego, who was beside her, dropped his jaw to the ground. Even though Michelle was an S-rank magician, her close combat prowess alone was one of the tops in this school. Hearing she could never win a single time against this mysterious person completely bewildered them. Teacher, I would like to ask another question. According to the data, Kai Carter is a sound magician, right? Sound magic is basically useless in a fight, so if his close combat technique is that good, why is he not in the military academy? I think it will be the best place to nurture his power. But hearing he is her fiancé, is he coming to this academy just to chase his love? Yuki simply laughed. Haha, you are certainly true there. Firstly, sound magicians are normally useless in a fight. With his physical power, it would guarantee him the same amount of prestige as Michelle. Lastly, he has come to this academy for that, but the request came from my student's part. That's why all the pantsy guys here could not interest her. Haha. If you try to do anything funny to that guy, you might move the entire Graham family, so be careful. Many men who secretly chased Michelle had their expression darkened. They finally knew why they could not impress Michelle, as she already fell in love with another man. Envy and jealousy started filling the atmosphere. Luckily, this did not affect Diego, as he noticed something off from her statement, normally. Do you mean he is not a normal sound magician? No, I should say, is he an unorthodox magician? As you all understand, people would always have an element in their bodies. The normal elements would be fire, water, ice, earth, wind, thunder, wood, and metal, the 8 basic elements. Rarer elements like light, darkness, space are hard to come by, making them a bit special. And just like sound element, those elements were also considered as useless in the past. And at one generation, an unorthodox magician who had either those 3 elements appeared. The elements slowly became popular as they put their experiences within their notes, and after some tweaking, even a normal magician would be able to wield that special magic. In other words, the light, darkness, or space magician right now is the effort of heroes in the past. And just like those guys in the past, there is this person called Kai Carter who possesses a sound element. With his uniqueness, he understands sound more than us. And maybe in a decade or so, we might see another rise of sound magician after going through another magic tweaking process. After all, we need to eliminate his uniqueness inside his magic before we can let normal sound magicians use it. And maybe another element such as time might come in the future. However, I don't know if it will come when we overtake the Earth again from magical beasts or in the fight. After all, we might not witness the appearance of another unorthodox magician. Well, I can say I am lucky since I am the teacher of this unorthodox man's fiancée. Yuki laughed again. All the people were tongue-tied like they just heard something amazing. The top group started clenching their fists, making sure they would not miss a single detail in this match. Well, it seems there are only 30 minutes before we start. Hence, we will draw the place to be their battlefield so that each team can prepare their battle plan. As you know, we have 10 places for a group battle. In fact, this group battle itself is a preparation battle against terrorists, as each group would have their own plans to counter their enemies. He stood up and raised his hand. Without further ado, let us draw the place. The giant screen inside the auditorium flashed, showing 10 places in black and white. It started rouletting before it stopped to a plane. When it revealed the true image, it was a vast wheat field. The screen displayed the entire map, and Diego explained the map. It would seem we have a vast wheat field, albeit after harvest, so there is no wheat. On the right side of the battlefield, there are woods, and further on the right are hills, which should be the boundary of this battlefield. And we can see an abandoned village on the other side. There is too much exposure in this place, giving Isabel Fisher an advantage. What do you think their plan would be, Teacher Yuki? I bet it will be utilizing the hill or woods on the right, since the village could not let you avoid Isabel Fisher. Diego turned his head to the side. Yeah, after hearing the sniping ability of Isabel Fisher, I would certainly utilize the hill. However, as you might already be aware of Tasha Carter's space magic, we should watch out for her since we won't know when she would appear. This is where Nicholas comes to play. He can't be too far and too close to Isabel Fisher as to prevent Tasha Carter from ambushing her. If I am in Isabel's place, I would certainly thrust my spear through the weakest link, Kudo Ayaka, before attacking Evan Young. He then can turn the tide of the battle and destroy this OP group. Yuki gave her insight. And, as expected, Isabel also came up with the same strategy. On the other hand, Kai smiled upon seeing the place. Chapter 104, Group Battle, Part 2. Kai smiled upon getting the battlefield. On the battlefield, there were two camps with equal conditions, red and blue. The red team was Lion Group, while the latter was Eagle Group. Their earlier battle plan had already nailed the place, so Kai only added the specific. Ayaka will stop Tommy in the woods. You have the trees, burn them down. Kai smiled at Ayaka before turning to Tasha. Sister, you will go further to the hill. Maintain your position at the middle of this arena, so you can either teleport to their position or Ayaka's position. You have an elemental advantage, so you can manipulate him any way you want. Understood? Ayaka nodded. Haha, he will become my punching bag today, she laughed, wondering what kind of expression he would have when he met despair. Michelle will go with me across the wheat field. If we meet the twins, drag them to the village area to make sure no one would ambush us from the left. I will handle Isabel Fisher by myself. All right. No one would interfere with your fight. Evan will hide in the forest and be ready to heal someone if needed. Yes. An open field would be very dangerous if Isabel is our opponent. I will try to get to a good spot. Kai nodded before turning to Sanai. Teacher is in this room, right? I mean, as the commander, yes. Since this fight is with humans and even terrorists would not be foolish enough to create a base inside the swarm of magical beasts. That's why we are free to use communication devices and radar. I will give you direction in this battle. Though I am sure you don't need to use a map, so I will just help these guys. Sanai shrugged. That is fine. My sister's place will be the critical one that needs your constant observation. If the enemy is too deep to our side, she can teleport and ambush Isabel. And if she is too deep, their spear Tommy will be shattered. Though I prefer to defeat her alone as to shut her up. Kai, be careful, Michelle said with a worried expression. She felt a storm might brew in this battle, and the center of that storm would be him. After all, Isabel could not be underestimated. Yes, he acknowledged as he also prepared a trump card for her. All right. Since we have agreed with the plan, take your position. They nodded, not hearing anything about the commentary from outside. They walked to the 5 tubes prepared for them to enter the battlefield. However, Ayaka called Evan before going inside the tube. Evan, hearing he was called, he turned back and looked at her with a confused face. Knowing Kai's ability, she did not say her request. Instead, she was telling him something with her device, forcing him to read it. All of them were teleported to the field. They were inside a barrier circle that would open as soon as the battle started. Kai searched his surroundings with his ears, looking for any weird places. Tasha looked up to the sky, finding a blue translucent glass that seemed to be the barrier boundary. She looked around and noticed they were inside a barrier block. According to her calculation, the barrier was around 5 kilometers horizontally, while the ceiling was only around 200 meters. A few minutes later, Kai opened his eyes, finding nothing. The battle will start in a minute. Prepare your weapon, Sanai stated. Their weapons had been scanned and inputted to the system, giving them a perfectly simulated sword. Kai and Michelle took out their swords. Tasha checked her bow by pulling the string a few times, and Ayaka clenched her spear. Michelle did not use Shadow Walk again, as many people would watch her. If this ability were exposed, she would be in great danger. Even in her family, only her parents and her grandfather knew about it. 3, 2, 1. Sanai counted down, and the barrier immediately vanished as soon as the count reached 0. Kai ordered, "Go, I wish you luck." Tasha made a pink magic circle, teleporting her, Ayaka, and Evan to the forest, before using it once more to teleport her to the top of the middle hill. The hill was not really steep, but it was enough to hinder Nicholas, she thought. Meanwhile, Kai and Michelle ran on the wheat field, exposing their position. Kai opened his echolocation magic and let Michelle see it. The radar showed her that their enemies had yet to move, as he predicted. On the other side, Isabel was flying to the sky by using her wind magic, looking at the entire field with her sharp eyes. This was to make sure Tasha did not teleport to their position right of the bat, ambushing them. She found Kai and Michelle on the field, Ayaka on the woods, and Tasha on the hill, albeit barely because of the distance. Although she could not find Evan, she did not consider him as a worthy enemy. There were 2 possibilities in Tasha's teleportation. Firstly, she might teleport the entire group to ambush their group. This would make the thing escalate quickly, and they had prepared for this scenario. The second scenario would be using her teleportation to ambush one of them. They could just eliminate one of them at a time and won the fight. Though she felt they were not going to use this strategy, as the people outside would not accept such a thing. Of course, she knew as long as they won, it would not matter, so she also made some preparation for it. Whether it was fortunate or unfortunate, Kai decided not to use both strategies, wasting the time they spent making plans. She then raised her fist, signaling the other to proceed with Plan C. Noticing her signal, Nicholas made a huge green magic circle on the ground. Like Kudo Chiyo with her ice magic, Nicholas also created a small hill to get Isabel's good sniping position. She then stood on top of the hill, taking out her white sniper rifle. The weapon itself was close to Accuracy International, AWM, or more known as AWM. This weapon had accompanied her for a few years, as she learned all things related to sniping ability. She laid down on the ground, putting her sniper rifle in front of him. The twins, Eva and Eve, were guarding her. At the same time, Nicholas and Tommy went to the enemy's place together before separating midway. After Kai and Michelle entered her domain in a minute, a smile appeared on Isabel's face. "Let's see how you're going to fight this." Boom. Meanwhile, in the auditorium, the people were confused, forcing Diego to ask, "Oh, it would seem the 2 teams have taken their positions, and this place soon would become chaotic. Let us see what kind of battle they will show us." "Wait, everyone, wait. Let us observe the battle from earlier. I thought the Lion Group would utilize Tasha Carter's space magic in this battle, but it would seem I was wrong. Teacher Yuki, can you explain this to us? From your perspective, why does the Lion Group not use their biggest advantage?" "Nah, you are wrong. They are using their advantage to the fullest." She shook her head before explaining it more clearly. Firstly, both teams knew Tasha Carter's space magic would be a game changer. That's why the Eagle Group should have prepared for it. You can see it from how their team did not move for a while. They were utilizing Isabel's eyes to check the enemy's movement, giving the Lion Group a precious few minutes. Amazement appeared on his face. Indeed, just by looking at their teams, I know the Lion Group will be on the defensive. After all, if they don't defeat Ayaka and Evan, they would probably lose. That's why these few minutes will be precious for the Lion Group, especially Ayaka. Just take a look at her. She pointed her finger to Ayaka on the map, controlling the camera. Since this was inside a simulation room, they could watch every person or the entire battlefield like watching TV. Diego turned back to the screen and shouted, as expected of Teacher Yuki, "Everyone, take a look at Kudo Ayaka right now." "She is," he continued to make a commentary for each person. On the other hand, Kai and Michelle were running smoothly in the empty wheat field. Just like how Isabel watched her, Kai also observed her every action with his ears, until at one point where they arrived at the 2 kilometers mark, Kai pointed his finger toward the small hill, specifically toward Isabel. "Dodge to the right," Kai said, warning her from the incoming bullet, as he heard Isabel pulling the trigger while smiling because Kai could pinpoint her location. Michelle jumped to the right without any hesitation, and 3 seconds later, a hole appeared right where she was. She could somehow sense it, but it might be hard to sense it if the twins occupied her. "No bullet will come to you. Trust me," Kai said, making her smile. Both leaders knew what to do and immediately shouted, "Go!" Michelle and the twins were going toward the village on the left. On the other hand, Kai took a deep breath before letting out his beastly instinct. She arrived in front of the twins not long after, preparing for a fight. The same applied to the others. Nicholas arrived at the foot of the hill as Tasha aimed at him with her lightning arrow, while Tommy entered the forest with precaution, looking out for traps. Ayaka appeared right in the deep of the woods, creating a mysterious atmosphere. Their respective battles would soon start. Chapter 105, Group Battle Part 3. Kai took a deep breath, listening to every person in this place. It would seem each respective fight had begun. He pointed at Isabel with his sword, telling him that the blade would soon kill her. "Huh." Isabel smirked as she aimed her sniper rifle at him. She also wished to have a fight against him alone, not caring about the others' fights. She channeled her magic power to her sniper rifle, making it shine. She pulled the trigger, shooting out a green bullet toward him. This bullet was made by wind, making it faster than the average bullet. It arrived at Kai within 2 seconds from the previous 3 seconds. Unfortunately, Kai heard the sound and simply took a step to the right, avoiding the bullet completely. "I see, a hearing powerful enough to predict my bullet trajectory? Well, if he comes closer, it will be harder to react as my bullet would arrive in an instant. I am wondering how he will proceed." Isabel smiled as she kept shooting him. On the other hand, his beastly instinct came out as he started running toward her. Every time she pulled the trigger, his ear would pick up and predict the trajectory, letting him avoid it without a waste movement. Kai's advance was unstoppable, as even though she had fired more than 10 bullets, she had yet to hit him or even graze him once. And with another 2 minutes, Kai finally arrived at the 1 kilometer mark, needing a bit more before climbing the artificial hill. Meanwhile, the people outside also created a ruckus. "What is this? She has shooted him 10 times, but no bullet has managed to hit him. Isabel Fisher is the #1 sniper in our magical academy, and to think she can't hit him. Is she playing a game with us, and would turn the tide later?" Diego shouted, "No, she just simply can't hit him. I won't go into details, but you can say he can easily dodge the bullet. It's just, I don't exactly know his limit, so with the distance keep getting shorter, the bullet that needs 2 or 3 seconds to hit him now only needs 1 second or less," Yuki commented. "He can just hold her back in this distance and wait for the others to finish their respective battle and defeat Isabel Fisher together." "Is this their plan?" Diego asked Yuki. "No, I don't know why, but I feel that Kai Carter would finish her by himself. In order to do that, he would need a plan in climbing the artificial hill," she answered. "A plan? Wait with his comrades having their own respective opponents. There won't be any help coming from them, so he could advance the hill. Even a normal person like me knows it, except he already has another plan that I can't think of." Yuki nodded. "That's right. I feel he already has another plan to climb the hill. The fact that he clubs the hill himself, he must be assured that he will win this fight." In other words, for Isabel, who was well versed in reading her opponent with her eyes, she should know that without revealing her trump card, she will certainly fall to Kai's secret plan. Albeit despite all their commentary, When they took a look at Isabel, she just smiled. After reaching the 1 kilometer mark, she did not shoot him anymore. Instead, she gave him precious time to reach the foot of the hill. This made Kai doubt whether she had something ready for him on this hill. Seeing that she would not shoot if he did not come up, he could only proceed carefully. She made a bigger smile, looking at Kai, who started climbing the hill. She stretched her left hand and surprisingly took out a second sniper rifle. "If you can dodge one, how about two?" she smirked, shooting both snipers at the same time. Kai also noticed the sound, making him leap to the air. Unfortunately, this was her plan. As soon as he was in the air, she shot another round of bullets. Kai opened his eyes wide, noticing a weird trajectory of the bullets. According to his ears, the two bullets would likely crash to each other a few meters before reaching him. Although he did not understand her plan, he turned his body around, avoiding the bullet's original trajectories. It was when the bullet collided, Kai realized her plan. When the bullets collided with each other, both of them would deflect each other, making another trajectory, and their new trajectory was his head and foot. Kai gritted his teeth as he forced his hands to move, barely blocking these two bullets. Even so, it did not hold enough power to receive the impact, and the bullets blew him away to the bottom of the cliff. Diego rose from his seat and roared, What, two sniper rifles? Did she just use two sniper rifles? The normal students gasped, while the top group's sweat dropped. Yuki shook her head helplessly, saying, "It would seem that we have underestimated Isabel Fisher this whole time. If you look at it carefully, you will notice that Kai knew there would be two bullets coming at him. Despite that, why does he need to use his swords to block the bullets? The answer is simple. Within these two bullets hold a great secret that could change their trajectories. And I am sure Kai has noticed it too, that with the collision, the bullets changed their trajectories. The people could only drop their jaws in shock. They never heard someone could utilize a sniper rifle that extreme. Kai, who was blown away to the bottom, had another problem he needed to solve. He looked at Isabel while wiping the blood on his mouth. This is not in the data. Isabel simply smiled as her eyes turned into eagle eyes, and she said, "I am wondering if you can reach my place, Leo. If you can't even reach my place, then you can't win. Why don't you show me the power of the great lion?" Obviously, she said that to taunt him. Because of those words, Kai's expression turned serious. Though he could not see her eyes, he felt the beastly aura coming from the top of the hill. It seemed she had accepted the power completely. He furrowed his eyebrow. It was certainly one of the top-level techniques to even pinpoint the trajectory, but it still had a weakness. For that, he took another deep breath and advanced again, trying to confirm that weakness. Isabel aimed at him again, trying to make him jump again. Hearing the bullets, he took up the challenge and leaped. The bullet changed its directions again, but Kai had prepared for it and was able to block it. Although, because of the force, he was blown away again, he was able to come up with a feasible plan in climbing the hill. There was a slight change in his expression, and Isabel did not miss it. That slight change was telling her that he had a way to climb this hill. She simply smiled. "Come!" Kai began climbing it for the third time, and Isabel shot him again, forcing him to jump. Surprisingly, this time Kai did not jump. Instead, he stomped the ground, creating a stable footing in the uneven ground. Using that, he turned his body around and used his extraordinary strength to destroy both bullets. Since he had a good footing, he managed to block the bullets entirely, not letting them push him back to the ground. Isabel furrowed her eyebrows and pulled the trigger again. Kai noticed that the bullets would change their trajectories again, so he predicted where the bullet would go. Even if he could not block one of them, he could block one of them and keep advancing. That was why when the bullet came, he shifted his body to the left and struck the bullet with his sword. He smiled and climbed the hill with confidence. When he reached the 200-meter mark, Isabel smirked. "Let's see how you handle this one then." This time, she only used one of her sniper rifles and created a magic circle right in front of the rifle. This made his beastly instinct roar inside of him, telling him no matter what it was, it would be dangerous. Kai raised his hands, creating a green magic circle. Oscillation shield, plasma wind. The shot this time was like a laser, but if one looked closely, it was a concentrated shot of a few small wind tornadoes. The tornadoes were compressed together, creating a far stronger attack. The coalition immediately pushed Kai's back for a few meters. Luckily, He had gotten back 10% of his magic power, or the shield would break. He reinforced the shield and let the oscillation force around his shield to do their job. They slowly chipped away bit by bit the wind energy until it reached a reasonable point, and Kai then deflected it to the sky. Everyone dropped their jaws as they could not believe what just happened. Sadly, unlike the audiences, Kai and Isabel still needed to fight. Kai started advancing again, not letting her shoot another one. When there were around 50 meters between them, Isabel jumped to the air and floated around at a height where Kai could not reach her. She aimed her sniper toward Michelle with the last attack again. Kai furrowed his eyebrows as he heard her saying, "Ha ha ha, as expected of Leo, making me even curious about you. Although I have lost in this fight, our group will still win this battle. I will kill your teammates one by one first. Fufu, we still have that agreement anyway, so I can't afford to lose." Kai looked up and sighed. Chapter 106, Group Battle Part 4. Outside, Diego screamed, This, I want to say it is dirty, but I can't. Even Isabel herself has recognized that she lost, and Kai has forced her to fly to win. As a sound magician, he would not be able to reach her. Even though I should be neutral, I can't say this is fair to him. Unfortunately, I can't say anything, as in the outside world. Something like this easily happens, and there is no trick or whatsoever. There is only a winner and a loser with life at stake. We might be able to say that in this situation, Isabel might lose the battle but win the war. However, there is one thing that I find confusing. Isabel's plasma wind is famous throughout our school, and I am sure when one meets this attack, they could only dodge it, not block it or deflect it like him. The neutral magic shield should not be that powerful. As for this, she also did not know, as Michelle never really talked about Kai's power. She answered, "Well, as you might already know, neutral magic is something that anyone can use, and this neutral magic shield is coming from a concentrated magic power that strengthens the air around us, creating a shield that is capable of blocking any basic elements. Different from that neutral magic shield, we usually infuse our own element to get a stronger shield. As for the details, I think I should not explain it to you, as you should have learned it in class. From my observation, Kai's magic shield is infused with his sound element. If you ask what is the concept or how he could do it, don't ask me. I also don't know about it," she shrugged. "This is really intriguing, though I want to keep looking at him. With how the thing escalates, we should check the other battlefield too. I am sure each fighter has their own interesting fight, so that we will take a look at the replay." Diego decided to change the topic. In the village, Michelle swung her sword toward the twins. By using the houses in the village, she had been preventing Isabel from hitting her. Even as she knew Kai would take all of her attention, she would still take a precaution, and she had restricted most of her power by doing this, making her at a disadvantage. Though the twins could not get the upper hand, she also could not defeat the twins, buying enough time for Isabel to finish Kai. Besides, she could not use Moonlight Shadow and Doll because the time was set at day. If she used her Shadow Slash blindly, she would just create a perfect path for Isabel. Ultimately, like how the twins believed Isabel would defeat Kai, she also believed Kai would come to defeat her so that she could use her full strength. For the time being, she decided to buy time until Kai defeated them, or so she thought, until she got a message from Shirotsuka Sanae. "You need to finish your battle as soon as possible. Isabel almost killed him." This message startled her, as she could not believe the message. This was Shirotsuka Sanae's information when she saw Isabel using 2 snipers. She is using some kind of trickery. "Anyway, just finish your battle. Okay." Even though she said, "Okay," she was still thinking about what she should do to defeat the twins without revealing herself to Isabel. She looked around and found a bigger building that she could use. She slashed the ground to the left and right, creating a wall of black flame. Shadow Slash. One of the shadow slashes charged at the twins, making them jump to avoid it while the other one did not hit anything. She made these 2 slashes, not purely because she wanted to hold the twins back, but also to camouflage her position. With a line like this, it would not be that easy for Isabel to know her location. Fire cannon, the twin would not let her do what she wanted. They created a magic circle at the same time, shooting out a fireball that would explode upon contact like a cannonball. This huge explosion certainly would blow her cover away, giving away her position. Unfortunately, Isabel was too occupied with Kai, so despite focusing an attack from Isabel's direction, she did not sense any single attack. This only meant that Kai managed to grab her attention fully, and he was fine, not like how Sanais described him. She smiled as she entered a bigger house, forcing the twins to chase her. If they somehow managed to lose sight of her, she would certainly disappear and make her way toward Isabel. Michelle swept away the building with a single glance, learning the structure and such. The building was not really that big, as it was closed to a one-room apartment. She smiled, planning to use it as her advantage. Bang! The twins slammed the door, entering an empty house. They were wondering where Michelle could hide in a small place like this. Unfortunately, Michelle did not hide anywhere, as she was right behind the door. The moment they entered, she closed the door and made a magic circle. Noticing this, they turned around only to see Michelle finish her magic dark room. Darkness started spreading through the entire house, enveloping the house with a black layer. As she could not get an advantage in the day because of the sun, she simply needed to create an environment that benefits her. The dark layer even closed the window that should have illuminated the room. Luckily, the twins did not break anything and let a hole in the house. If not, she should use another house where everything was connected. When the room was finally enveloped by darkness, it took away their vision. It was at this moment Michelle started showing her advantage, as she activated two of her magic night vision moonlight shadow. The former gave her the vision, while the latter enhanced her prowess. She originally made this magic to gain an advantage against Kai, but his hearing was unstoppable. No matter how she learned to move without making a sound, Kai would undoubtedly pick it up. Hence, this move was abandoned by her, and only at this moment, she finally used it again. The two shadow swords blended with the darkness, allowing her to move around without anyone noticing. Don't panic. Use our flame to light up the room, Eve ordered as a magic circle appeared on her hand. Eve also used the same magic, trying to illuminate the room. Unfortunately, their efforts were futile as the moment they made a fire, Michelle's sword already reached their hands. Without a killing intent and the desire to attack the twins, Michelle used her shadow slash on a smaller scale to avoid breaking the house and gave her position away. The twins might notice if she tried to use the technique toward their body, but they would not notice if she attacked the air in front of them together with their hands, which were in the way. Pain transmitted to their brain. Eva endured the pain as she stretched her hands to the right side. That's where you are. Fire cannon. Boom. The room lit up a bit, but when they looked at the place, Michelle was nowhere to be seen. Sister, we need to feel her movement, not see her movement, Eve shouted. I am on it. Both of them were locating Michelle's movement. If Kai were here, he would know that Michelle took advantage of the dark to enter their shadow, making them completely blind as they could not feel Michelle's presence. I can't sense her anywhere. Look again, Eva roared, as she also could not sense her presence. She thought Michelle must have attacked them to make them think she was here. And the truth was, she used that moment of confusion to leave the house and move toward Isabel. She sweat dropped, noticing how they were played with. She shouted, "Not good. She must use this chance to escape blast the house right now. We will leave and protect Isabel." Eve sucked a cold breath as she created a magic circle to blast the entire house. Little did they know Michelle was always with them. Boom! The explosion blasted the door, showing the exit. The dark layer also began to vanish, starting from the door. We are go. When the twins was about to move, they realized another presence coming from behind them. It was at this moment they knew they fucked up. Michelle smiled, coming out of their shadow. She sent their heads flying, concluding the battle. They could not even utter a single word before they died, while the audiences also could not see anything in the dark room. Although the light started illuminating the room, it was still not enough to reach the twins, so her shadow walk was still a secret. She managed to complete her objective. She came out of the house only to see Isabel on the air. What is the situation, teacher? Isabel used her magic to fly, planning to kill all of you first before fighting Kai together with the others. Has she used those flying drones? No. She must sense how sharp Kai's reflex is, so she might think it is futile to fight him in close combat. Besides, he can dodge all of her attacks even if she attacks him continuously. That's why she is planning to end the other battle first, Sanai answered. It would take her a few minutes to reach that position, and Isabel could shoot a few rounds within that time. In the end, she could only ask, how are Ayaka's and Tasha's situation? Ayaka and Tasha are. Chapter 107, Group Battle, Part 5. Tasha versus Nicholas. This might be the most unbalanced fight in this battle. Not only the hills around gave a huge advantage to Tasha, but she could also move from one hill to another by single magic. This would lead to an endless chase, exhausting Nicholas before killing him. However, the battle turned into something unexpected. Tasha did not move to another hill, making a distance. Nicholas had prepared for this and was planning to create a huge stone bridge connecting from one hill to another. That was why, when he carefully climbed the hill while dodging Tasha's lightning arrow, he was confused. There were only 100 meters between them, and she should use her magic around this time. Instead, Tasha released another arrow that was blocked by his shield. He gulped down, planning to charge at her. With this gap, he should have reached her before she could activate her magic. After gathering his resolve, he charged at her with his fastest speed. Tasha looked surprised and made a pink magic circle below her feet. Unfortunately, the moment she activated the magic, Nicholas arrived in front of her, shouting, "You won't get away!" He aimed his sword at her neck, forcing her to leap back. He thought he managed to stop her from using her space magic. As long as he could keep his distance with her, he should be able to stop her from teleporting. She can't use her teleportation anymore as long as I stay close, is what you thought right now. I think. Tasha smiled as she clapped her hands. Unfortunately, that magic circle is not for me, but you. Upon hearing that, he realized her plan. He tried to exit the magic circle, but it was too late. Tasha waved her hand and said with a smile, "Good luck to try again." You. He did not finish his words and disappeared. In a split second, he was back on the foot of the hill, needing to climb again to stop her. Tasha could smile, but he could not. As for the spectators, they opened their mouths in amazement. Out of all possibilities inside their heads, Tasha did not use any of them and blew their minds away. This, I should not call Isabel unfair. After seeing this, I should say it is a creative way to use the technique. Although she can't penetrate Nicholas's shield or earth body, she can't keep teleporting him again and again to exhaust him, Diego shouted. Every word was full of energy, as he was excited to see what would happen next. Yuki could not help but comment, "No, there is actually one more thing to consider. She might use this to anger Nicholas. If Nicholas makes a rushed decision, Tasha would surely use it to either kill him or teleport to her teammate and help them. In any case, we can only see what would happen next." In the battlefield, Tasha kept teleporting him back to the foot of the hill, keeping him far from her. This certainly infuriated Nicholas before he suddenly heard a crack on his shield. This was Tasha's original plan. She would keep teleporting him while striking his shield at the same spot continuously until it broke. And when both of them saw this, Tasha was excited while Nicholas' sweat dropped. Unexpectedly, before they could make another move, boom! A huge explosion destroyed a part of the forest. Tasha turned around and asked, "Teacher Sanae, is that Ayaka?" "Tasha, Ayaka is coming to you." "So, she kills her opponent faster than me?" Tasha made a weird face. "Yes, that lass." Sanae could only shake her head, recalling what happened earlier. She even asked her to go to Tasha instead of Kai, as this battle was easier. A few minutes ago, Ayaka was keeping Tommy at bay, albeit barely. His ice magic extinguished all her flame techniques, while her spear was at the same level as him. As the battle progressed, she slowly lost her advantage and was forced to retreat deeper into the woods. Dragon Crane. She struck her spear continuously, aiming at all his vital spots. On the other hand, Tommy took his time in defeating her, carefully observing his observation to see whether there was a trap or not. She looked at the injuries he'd inflicted on her hands, body, or feet. Ayaka's defeat would only be a matter of time. He blocked not only all these thrusts, but also added a few more injuries to her body. Although the wounds were superficial, they still hurt. Yet, despite all of that, Ayaka did not scream and become even more focused. After fighting her for a few minutes, he suddenly realized that Ayaka's movement got better and better. It was like she used this fight to improve her battle style. She was using him as her training partner, which could not be allowed. He shifted his stance, changing his defensive style to the offensive. He stabbed the ground with his sword. Ice wave. Ice started sparking from the ground, spreading toward her like a wave. Ayaka did not jump, making her vulnerable on the air. Instead, she made a magic circle, blasting all these ices to smithereens. Scarlet explosion. Boom. The explosion also stopped the ice from spreading forward, giving her a chance to counterattack flares. She shot out a few small tornadoes toward him. Tommy only snorted, seeing this unworthy technique. Ice creates phoenix. His blue magic circle froze the air around before creating a huge ice phoenix. It flew toward Ayaka, extinguishing all the fire tornadoes in the way. Ayaka clapped her hands, creating a huge net to catch the phoenix, fire net. This net could roast a rank A magical beast alive with its intense heat, let alone an ice phoenix. The phoenix slowly melted before evaporating. Little did she know that there was another attack coming from behind the phoenix. It might be able to catch that big phoenix, but it could not stop smaller objects. Tommy took advantage of that and shot a few ice arrows toward her. Ayaka's hand was covered with flame as she created a shield of fire, blocking these ice arrows. Hey! She bit her lips, enduring the pain as one of the arrows managed to pierce through the shield and stabbed her left hand. I can't let him down. I will win. With that determination, she kept enduring the pain as she lured him deeper and deeper. And when they arrived at a particular place, she finally smiled. He finally noticed he went too deep because she had too many injuries. It tempted him to advance as to finish her. However, it would seem it was her plan all along. He turned around trying to escape, but Ayaka did not let him. She activated all the magic circles around the area. Around 20 magic circles appeared simultaneously, circling around their position with Ayaka in the center. Those magic circles exploded at the same time, forcing him to move closer to Ayaka. Cage. She did not stop there. Ayaka activated the second round, which made a smaller circle, forcing Tommy to get closer to her position again. After 2 more rounds of explosions, she was finally close enough to him. She slashed her spear downwards, but was still blocked by Tommy's sword. No matter what trick you throw at me, I will defeat you, Tommy shouted as he pushed her back. Ayaka was still smiling as fire started covering her body from top to bottom like a knight in full armor. Then, how about this? The same magic circle appeared right under their feet, albeit the size was 3 times the previous magic circles. As long as you are dead, I have completed my mission. Ayaka smiled, looking at him with full determination. Magic bomb activated. Why you go to such an extent? Tommy could not comprehend her action. This was similar to a suicide bombing. To answer this question, Ayaka made a bigger smile and said, "It's a foolish thing, the human heart. Sometimes we fail to operate logically and act on emotions. I should have realized this sooner. For me, he could do something like this. If I can't do the same, what qualification would I have to stand by his side?" Before he could finish his word, the magic was activated, creating a huge explosion that even alarmed Tasha. On the other hand, Ayaka closed her eyes, recalling the scene where Kai used a supersonic attack to butcher the magical beasts with his life at stake. Boom! Tommy was reduced to ashes, while Ayaka was blown away. If not because of the fire armor that covered all her body, she would certainly have the same fate as him. She was rolling on the ground before a tree stopped her. Her body was covered with blood as well as burn marks. In fact, half of her body had burn marks, making her look scary. Even so, she still raised her hands, looking at the horizon. I still need to help him. Unfortunately, because of her wounds, she could not help him. That was why she asked for a helper in this battle. At the deepest part of the forest, a young man could not help but shake his head helplessly and started running. Human heart, huh? It's certainly a foolish thing, but not laughable. He remembered when Ayaka suddenly stopped him before entering the simulation tube, asking him for a favor. Not long after, even with her fuzzy consciousness, she managed to stay awake as she was enveloped by warm water. It was ticklish, but the pain started to disappear. After another minute, she was able to move her hand and looked around. Evan, thank you. You still need to wait for another minute if you still want to go. Yes. Chapter 100. Group Battle, Part 6. Anyway, Ayaka will come to your place right now and help you. I know you are striking your arrow at the same time and waiting for it to break, but I am sure our goal is to defeat the enemy group, right? All right, teacher, give me Ayaka's general position and I will try to coordinate with her. Tasha nodded. I want to send her to Kai, but he does not really want the help. Sanai sighed. Teacher, have you heard about the contract between him and that Isabel? Tasha asked while pulling the bow. Contract? Sanai furrowed her eyebrows, confused. She had yet to become a teacher when the contract thing happened, so it was normal for her not to know. Is Kai fighting another big family, like in United Asia? It seems I need to change my job and nationality again. Wait, it's not like I am going to join you guys if that happens again. Ahaha, you misunderstood him, teacher. Kai never really searched for trouble, and the contract was made a few days before you joined us. Tasha chuckled, making her miss the target. Oops. What is the contract? If we win today, she is not going to bother us anymore. If we lose, Trouble Isabel will visit us every day. Tasha shot another arrow. Isn't that bad for your information? I am not paid for that, so you take care of that problem. We just need to win. Tasha shrugged. Still, this guy is surely irritating. Why don't you crush him to death? She suggested. Crush him to death. How? You are on the hill. Sanae gave a simple hint. Ah, I see. She came to enlightenment. In that case, I need Ayaka to come up here. They must know the death of that ice element guy, but do not know Ayaka's position. I direct her to go around and climb the hill, so when that shield guy is still conscious on his back, Ayaka will reach the top with her flying ability. Get it? I will teleport that guy again first. Tasha nodded. Wait, why don't Ayaka just tell me this? Oi girl, where is your voice? I am here. A battle from before took a toll on me. Sorry, Ayaka said with a hoarse voice, as she had yet fully recovered from that blast. Evan only managed to heal her burn marks and broken bones. It was enough for her to move, but it was still hurt just by moving her body. Evan could only shake his head after looking at the determination in her eyes and let her go. You should rest, you know. Tasha furrowed her eyebrows. I still can move, so it's not a problem. Pain can be endured as long as we can win, and by defeating Nicholas, our win will be assured. I will arrive in less than a minute, Ayaka said weakly. She could not say anything more to this girl. All right. Kai and Michelle should have no problem handling those three, so you only need to help. Yes. Tasha sighed, cutting the communication off and muttering to herself. You stubborn girl, let me step on my game then. She put her bow down before clapping her hand, creating a magic circle. The magic circle was purple instead of pink, symbolizing her using lightning magic. Electric lance. A bright purple spear was coming out of the magic circle, flying toward Nicholas. Surprisingly, just after flying for 1 second, a pink sphere appeared, swallowing it. Nicholas was confused, wondering what she was doing. He saw Tasha with a pink magic circle again, realizing it was for the sphere. That magic circle teleported the sphere 5 meters above him, releasing the lightning spear it swallowed earlier, like shooting a bullet. Not good. He made a magic circle below his feet. Earth, not good, I won't make it. The spear already reached his place, forcing him to use his shield as his only defense. The force from the attack was no joke, making him kneel before pinning him on the ground. Boom. Tasha's lightning spear exploded, leaving Nicholas to be speechless. He never expected that Tasha would be like this if she were serious, making him wonder if the previous one was only her playing with him. It could be said the most underrated person in the Lion group was Tasha, not Kai. She usually used her lightning arrow to support the team and teleportation magic. The only difference was how she used it. No one had yet to see Tasha using a different technique. The only time she used a different technique would be in the first mission, striking the wolf, and this was precisely what she did as a follow-up attack. Tasha released another arrow, using it as a catalyst to draw a magic circle in the sky. Lightning struck forth toward Nicholas. Fortunately, his eyes did not wander after getting pinned on the ground, allowing him to this attack, Earth Defender. The mud raised, forming a sphere to protect Nicholas from the lightning. This sphere also functioned as a conductor, channeling the lightning to the ground. Crack. Nicholas raised his shield as soon as he heard the cracking sound of his spear. The lightning broke the mud wall, striking the shield before exploding. Boom! For those who focused on Nicholas, they were wondering if he was still alive or not. Unbeknownst to them, Ayaka had arrived at Tasha's position, destroying the tip of the hill to make a giant boulder for Tasha. Tasha smiled and teleported it right above him. When Nicholas saw this one, he could only chuckle. He glanced at his shield that had been snapped into two by the last strike and muttered, "It's insane. I have lost." He closed his eyes, letting the huge boulder crush him to death. Outside, people sucked a cold breath, thinking, "Poor Nicholas." I am speechless. I really want to say this first. Poor Nicholas. From the start, he was played by Tasha Carter. Firstly, he becomes a punching bag for her lightning arrow. Secondly, she made him restart his progress by teleporting him to the foot of the hill again and again. This is my personal opinion, but it would make me feel better if Tasha actually teleported to another hill, making me chase her rather than teleporting me to the start. However, I am wondering why Tasha does not use the last 3 attacks from the start. I mean, I am sure she can defeat Nicholas that way. Diego glanced at Yuki. I actually don't know the reason. Even my student does not really see her using other magic that often. However, there is one thing for sure about her. She is an S-rank magician, Yuki explained. Have we actually underestimated her this entire time? Diego came to a realization. From my information, she killed many magical beasts by sending them to the sky, teaching the sea creatures how to fly, or that's what the soldiers told me. After that, she only used her arrows, killing them one by one. That ability alone is scary, and somehow I can picture her sending people like that. Unless we have the ability to fly, we would have a nightmare for the rest of our life. Literally, since we would only have a few seconds in our life. Luckily, this time, there is a border limit up to a few hundred meters in the sky, not allowing her to use this ability. Anyway, those abilities might hinder us from realizing the fact that she is an S-rank magician with lightning and space magic. In fact, rather than Michelle Graham or Kai Carter, the one that we need to worry the most would be her. Diego explained his thought, shocking the entire room. The top groups inside also noticed this before he explained. Michelle aside, they had yet to see the real power of an unorthodox sound magician with their own eyes, so they could not judge it too early. After all, Kai and Tasha were a family. They might even try to investigate Carter family after this, as this family might rise to become another prominent family with these two alone. Fortunately, Kai was not originally from here. This would hide the fact that Tasha was only his stepsister. If they knew about it, they would not think that highly of this Kai Carter. Anyway, teacher, with this, I could say that the defeat of Eagle Group is guaranteed, right? Diego paused a bit, trying to say without shooting the Eagle Group down. I mean, they have lost 4 of their members, leaving only Isabel Fisher. I know her reputation as the #1 shooter in this academy, but I still doubt she can turn the situation around. It's not that they are weak, their opponent is just too strong. They have 2 S-rank magicians, 1 unorthodox magician, and the famous healer, Evan Young. It can be said this team will shake the group ranking in the near future, Diego said. I really want to say yes, but I will refrain myself as a teacher. I can only say that as long as you don't give up, the possibility will never reach 0. Which team would win? We would not know before all the opponent team's heads flew off. She shook her head. Though I still need to give a thumbs up to Kudo Ayaka. Diego realized he forgot this girl because of the hype. All of this would not happen if Ayaka failed to kill Tommy. And the way she sacrificed herself could only be described in one word. Scary, hee. Don't underestimate us women. We can tolerate most of the things. But if you touch our reverse scale, I don't think I need to say any more. She smirked. Chapter 109. Group Battle Part 7. After killing Nicholas, Ayaka wanted to head toward Kai, but Tasha stopped her. Even as she flew toward them, Tasha would teleport her back, so she could only stay here. Just take a look at your pale face. Hayes, you are reckless. Tasha sighed. I am sure it hurts just by moving slightly. This is not a normal world, so I can be reckless again and again, considering I am not as strong as you. In fact, even the people outside won't have much expectation of me. She looked down, a bit disappointed. This lass. She shook her head helplessly, snapping her finger and creating a magic circle. Teleportation. They arrived back in the woods, finding Evan to tend her injuries. Heal this reckless girl first. Tasha pushed Ayaka to Evan. Sure, he simply nodded, wrapping Ayaka's body in his healing bubble. Listen here, no matter what you do today, never do something like that again. I am sure even Kai would talk about this after the match, Tasha said. She could only look down. Anyway, just rest here since Kai will end the fight for us. Little did they know that Isabel was in the sky, trying to find Tasha and Ayaka. Michelle was far from this place, while Tasha and Ayaka had their own respective opponents. This might be the simplest but most brutal plan for Kai Carter. As long as she had enough time, she could shoot them down one by one from the sky before defeating him from the air. Probably, this was their ultimate plan by riling Kai. On the ground, Kai was staring at her, looking very pitiful. Even if he was an unorthodox sound magician, it was still impossible for him to reach her. The fact that they had fallen for the enemy's plot and that defeat was but mere moments away made others lose hope. For Kai, who was well versed in reading into the future with his mind, it was all more clear. It was at this time Kai showed a change of expression, making them gasp. It was a smile instead of a dispirited look. Outplayed me. Kai shook his head. This. Isabel dropped her jaw, noticing that her teammates were already gone, leaving only her in this place alone. Even without Sanai telling him, he already knew that they had finished their battle, though he needed to have a talk with Ayaka after this. You are the last, Kai smirked, dropping one of his swords to the ground before raising his hand toward her. With 10% of my magic power, I can finally do this. A green magic circle appeared on his hand, creating a cylinder like a cannon. Isabel noticed the change in the atmosphere, looking at Kai with confusion. What are you doing? She pointed her weapon at him. You will experience it right now. He smiled, activating the magic circle resonant beam. Even after activating the magic circle, it did not shoot anything or produce any sound, making her even more confused. She thought it was just a bluff to make her calm down. So she aimed her weapon at Ayaka, trying to kill as many as possible. Even as she died, it would only after she killed at least 3 people. She looked through the scope, carefully aiming it for her head to make sure she died with this shot. Unfortunately, Kai's attack finally arrived, shaking. She blinked a few times, feeling that her eyes were shaking. She put down her weapon, looking around to adjust her eyes. The shaking did not stop. Instead, it was intensified. It felt like her eyeballs were shaking and would soon jump out of the socket. She started seeing colored lights at the periphery of her vision and ghostly gray regions in the center. Cage. She bit her lips, looking down because of the pain until she saw Kai and realized what happened to her. You. Kai smirked. This was the magic that everyone had forgotten to talk about after she challenged his group for a battle. He took the concept of breaking a glass with sound, if the sound was at the same frequency with the glass. The low frequency of sound and its corresponding long wavelength made it much more capable of penetrating her body, creating an oscillating pressure system. He could make different parts of her body resonate depending on the frequency. Because sniping relied on eyes the most, as long as he stopped her eyes, it would solve the problem. This was why he was targeting her eyeballs. Because he could not really test this magic to Michelle and the others, Isabel would be the perfect experiment. At first, he used relatively safe sound levels below 100 dB that occurred at 19 Hz, making her eyes start twitching. He slowly raised the intensity to 110 dB, thus giving the current effect. Luckily, she decided to go down after this effect. It would become worse if he actually used more. And he used the concept of long-range acoustic device to send the sound wave, as the sound coming from the LR raid was also relatively directional. It did not disperse as much as sounds from typical speakers. People next or behind the device like him could still hear the sound, but were not as loud. Kai even used his sound insulation around his ears as protection. He had gone through trials and errors to check the sound wave's phase, the size of the magic circle, and the properties of the air to create more directional sound. Unfortunately, he had yet to see whether this technique could kill the magical beasts or not. He knew about the frequency of human eyeball, which was 19 Hz. As for magical beast eyeball, he needed to go through another round of trials and errors. This was a good technique to fight people in an open area, since not only was it lower the range than the human ear could hear, it was deadly. Unfortunately, if he showed more, he felt his life would be targeted, as the danger level of this technique was similar to Michelle's shadow walk. After all, he could assassinate someone without him noticing by this technique. The magic circle disappeared as he looked at Isabel. She said, "Since it is like that, I will defeat you first. I haven't revealed this technique to anyone, so be grateful and die." Kai was dumbfounded, saying inwardly, "Girl, I have shown you this technique that I haven't revealed to anyone. Why don't you be grateful to me, fall from the sky, and die?" She threw her weapon to the air, clapping her hand. Unlike Kai's light green magic circle, her magic circle was dark green. 4 balls wrapped by the wind rose from the magic circle, giving an ominous pressure. The 4 orbs were hovering around her, creating a rectangle. God of wind, Aeolus. He furrowed his eyebrows, sensing a dense wind power in those orbs. Foosh! A change of sound was enough for him to recognize a movement from the orb on the top left. "It's coming." He leaped backward, observing what those orbs could do first. At first, he wanted to use his lullaby to disrupt her brainwave, allowing him to break those orbs with the loss of control. Unfortunately, he was too far, and the sound would not hurt her enough to make her lose focus. Bam! The orb shot a condensed wind bullet, creating a hole right on Kai's previous spot. Seeing the effect, he deactivated the sword in his left hand and made his oscillation shield. He charged at her with his shield in front, thinking it would be enough to stop those orbs. Isabel only smiled and released the second orb. "This is my ability I have suppressed for a long time." After the second orb shot its bullet, the third and fourth orb released its bullet in succession. Kai was not afraid of him after witnessing the effect on the ground. Compared to her sniper rifle, these green balls were like pistols. Kai raised his shield, blocking the bullets without any hesitation. Another attack came from the front. He adjusted his form and pushed his shield forward, giving more force to fight this new attack. Boom! The attack came from Isabel's sniper rifle. Unlike their first position, Kai was not pushed back as they were on equal ground. He looked around, noticing the movements from the orbs and leaping toward her. The orbs aimed at him, shooting him down, but Kai simply raised his shield to block 2 of them while using his sword to destroy the other 2. As soon as he arrived in front of Isabel, he slashed his sword downwards. She might be a sniper, but her close combat ability was also top-notch, allowing her to fight even Nicholas to a standstill. She simply raised her weapon, blocking Kai's sword before using the orbs to shoot him. Kai took a step back, avoiding those bullets before changing his stance again as Isabel had activated her magic and shot him. He had noticed that she needed a few seconds before she could shoot either her sniper rifle or the orbs. In an instant, he blocked the attack. He released the magic shield and took out his sword again, making a full round attack. Her close combat might be good, but for Kai, who could predict the movement by a simple movement, it was still far too low. The moment Kai's swords reached her sniper rifle, he faked it by pulling the swords back and kicked her sniper rifle to the air. KH. She gritted her teeth, shooting him by using the swords. Kai merely jumped in order to avoid and did not forget to claim her life. 1 second after he landed on the ground, her head fell, concluding the match. "You are a strong opponent." Kai closed his eyes. Chapter 110, Group Battle, Last Part. "You are a strong opponent." Kai closed his eyes before hearing the sound of a trumpet from his communication device. In the middle of the battlefield appeared a huge, "Congratulations" word. Shirotsuka Sanae announced it to all of them. "Congratulations on winning. I will wake all you up from the simulation chambers in a few seconds. Thank you for taking the command, teacher." Kai smiled. "Nah, I didn't contribute anything in this match." She shrugged, walking toward the simulation chambers and pushing a button to wake them up. Kai and the others came back to reality at the same time, and Sanae opened the chamber's doors. "Guys, I need to reveal 3 magic this time." Tasha sighed. "Haha, the twins are easy to beat and think. You reveal 3 magic for such an easy opponent." Michelle chuckled, stretching her hands before turning to Kai. "Though I am interested in knowing those magic, the most interesting one is Kai's magic." "What is that magic, Kai?" Kai pondered for a while, glancing at Evan and Sanae before shaking his head. I think it's better not to disclose it for everyone's safety. Michelle and Tasha instantly recognized his meaning and stopped asking. Fine, it's better that way. Maybe you can tell me in our private time, Michelle said while licking her lips. Hurry up and become 18 years old already. Wait. Tasha stopped her, not letting her take another step forward. I should be the one who teaches him that I am his sister after all. Huh. Of course, this is a girlfriend's privilege. Besides, you are his sister. I am adopted, so it's legal, she snorted. All right, enough. Kai sighed before turning to Ayaka with a serious expression. She gulped down, preparing her heart to receive Kai's anger. Even though she was scared, she still looked him in the eyes, not regretting her action. To her surprise, Kai did not say anything for a few seconds before putting his hand on her head. I have many things to tell you, but for now, good job and thank you. The others rolled their eyes away, remembering what Ayaka did. Ayaka could only clench her fists, not knowing why she wanted to cry. This might be the first time for her to experience something like this. The pain she felt earlier, the effort she put in, all of it felt worth it at this moment. The feeling was more intense than when her parents or grandparents praised her from achieving something good. She finally broke the last chain that bound her from making a particular decision. After Kai patted her head, he walked to Evan, Michelle, and Tasha. All of you too. Thank you for your hard work. Well, how about we celebrate it? My treat. I have a good place for that and made a reservation earlier, Michelle suggested, smiling. It's a good idea, Kai agreed. Yeah, I will eat until I am full. Maybe I should bring some for Mom and Dad. Tasha nodded, wondering how much she needed to bring home. I don't have any objection. It's a good opportunity to relax with everyone. Just say this is for that birthday party. He nodded. I don't mind as long as I get good wine. Sanai licked her lips. Ayaka did not make a sound as she just stared at them, clenching her hand like she was thinking something serious. Kai noticed this and turned around, stretching his hand with a smile. You are going too, right? She blinked a few times and reached his hand, smiling brightly. Yes. All right, we are going to a party today. Let's go. Kai glanced at Michelle. Sure, follow me. It's not that far from the school. She nodded and walked towards the door, opening it. To their surprise, a group of 5 were walking in front of their room, staring at them with a surprised look. The two groups had the same thought running inside their brain. What the heck with this timing? This was another meeting between Lion Group and Eagle Group, Michelle said awkwardly. Well, I will close the door first, so all of you can walk first. Don't mind us. Wait. Before Michelle could close the door, Isabel stopped her. She walked forward, glancing at Kai a few times. Kai and the others frowned, wondering if she wanted to annul the contract or whatsoever. Instead, she just bowed her head and said, I apologize for picking a fight with you guys. Although it was only for taunting you, I truly went too far. Don't worry, I will keep my words and won't bring you guys trouble. I admit you guys have completely defeated us. Kai was surprised to see her admitting it like this, wondering what he should say in this situation. Suddenly, Evan broke his silence. This is why you should never challenge anyone just like that. You have been like this for a long, long time. Shut up. I don't want to hear from the likes of you, she snorted, glaring at Evan. You can only stay in the safe area while letting your teammate fight. You should be ashamed. Oi, oi. I am healing them and supporting them as much as possible. He rebuked her claim, recalling the information, healing, and the other supports he had given to the team. Heh. She looked at him with disbelief, taunting his pride. You. Evan gritted his teeth, seeing how unreasonable she was. He did not notice that his words were precise and too hurtful, making the other want to fight back. Anyway, Kai walked between them, stopping the fight and saying his piece. Your Eagle Group is strong. If I don't utilize many tactics and other risky factors, we would not have won. We would crumble as long as we lose one of our teammates. So it is a great fight. She nodded, thinking whether she could ask about that last magic of his. After all, no one knew that she experienced something really bad earlier, forcing her to go down. In the end, she shook her head and said, Anyway, we will be going now. Yeah, he nodded, waiting for a while until they disappeared from his sight. Let's go. Ooh. The others nodded awkwardly before Michelle led them to a certain restaurant. On the other hand, their fight completely brought chaos in the auditorium. This we might have witnessed the birth of new top groups. No, I should say, this group might destroy the other top groups, including Dawn and Golden. I am speechless even though I need to say more about them. Diego scratched his head, thinking of what to say. Well, there are many variables in this group. Each individual is great. Kai would certainly not let any of you slip past his detection range. Michelle is already well known for her power, while Tasha is still holding back her real power. If you can't defeat Evan, it will be hard to defeat them. Last but not least, it is the unpredictable Kuro Ayaka. I wonder what kind of stunt she will pull next time. Though I doubt they will accept another group battle. Yuki explained the Lion group's strength. She might have some doubts about Ayaka, but her stunt made her think otherwise. She just sighed, hoping that girl would not pull that kind of stunt in the real world. Sanae was there, so she thought it would be fine. However, she needed to give Sanae a message, reminding her about the last incident that almost killed her. With this, the Lion group reaches rank 145 with 3489 points, while the Eagle group falls to 10th place. And I, Diego, thank you for coming to watch the battle. Have a great day. On behalf of other teachers, I command you to take a note of this battle, as this will prove to be a good example. I feel your homeroom teacher will analyze it in the class, she added. In the corner of the room, a handsome man crossed his arms, looking at the screen. It was still displaying the participants' pictures. He brushed away his blue hair and closed his eyes. One of his subordinates came to him. What should we do about this group? Their existence is threatening our group. Michelle Graham and Tasha Carter might be powerful, but their weakness will be Kudo Ayaka and Evan Young. As long as we can defeat them, the battle is ours to take. As for that Kai Carter, he is an enigma, still sound magician. I can think of a way to restrict his ability, he explained with a serious expression. They might be a strong group, but our golden group is stronger. On the other corner, there was also another group consisting only of females. Their leader was a pretty girl with purple hair tied into a ponytail. What should we do? I think we should prepare to challenge them as to keep the pride of the third year. The leader shook her head. Prepare is good, but without us moving, the golden group will certainly make a move first. Besides, we can't be certain that they would challenge our group and vice versa. Just take a look at Michelle Graham. She never really cares about the points ranking, so I assume she is not searching for a position. If I take a look at their leader, Kai Carter, she has the same eyes as her. So, relax. Her teammates could only look at her with a confused expression, trusting their leader. She nodded before secretly furrowing her eyebrows. The magic that forced Isabel to the ground piqued her curiosity. There was no sound, sign, or whatever, so it really confused her. She decided to investigate it later, together with the Carter family. Chapter 111. Nathan's Mission. On the other hand, Kai and the others went toward the restaurant, enjoying their first win in the group battle. Kai completely butchered Ayaka with all his words on the way there, only leaving her alone after they reached the place. The place was more like a family restaurant, giving a more warm atmosphere around. Michelle ordered a private room, along with food and drink, especially for Sanae. They gulped down all the food and drink in an instant, tasting very delicious delicacies. After a while, Kai found out that the restaurant was Graham's family restaurant, and she even asked a personal chef to cook for them, leaving Kai speechless. Luckily, no one noticed that fact yet, or else she would get bombarded with questions. It was just a friendly party, and ended in 2 hours or so. Kai was startled upon seeing Sanae's state. Even after drinking a few bottles, there was no trace of drunkenness in her face, not even a tinge red. If Kai and Tasha actually saw the figures in the bill, they would be shaken. Fortunately, it was a private restaurant, and Michelle covered the cost. After the ending, Kai only told them to do their own thing. They could hang out inside the room, research their magic or whatever they wanted, until the cool-down period for taking the mission ended Monday next week. Yeah. Michelle and Kai came inside their group room, greeting them with a cheerful smile. This was the day where they would get the next mission, and they wanted to get over with it so that they could get more free days. Well, we are going to search for a mission today. With our pace, we can get into the top 100 ranks in 2 or 3 missions, so I want to get a mission with big points, Michelle explained. I don't have any problem, Tasha shrugged, glancing at Evan. I am fine with it. We will get more free time if we finish soon anyway, which is a plus for me. Besides, I usually have my own helicopter provided by the military, so I can go anywhere to heal. Now that I have joined you guys, the military takes back the helicopter. I personally prefer such leisure. He nodded. Ayaka looked very troubled, glancing at everyone back and forth. Ayaka, is there a problem? Kai asked. Amen. No. She smiled awkwardly. I don't have any problem. Kai stared at her for a few seconds, thinking it would be best to talk to her when they were alone. Sanae also had the same thought, but waited for Kai to move first. No one talked for a minute, so she broke the silence, saying, I don't have any problem since you are the one who fights in the front line, not me. I will just give you advice for the mission and be done with it. Michelle nodded to her before looking at Evan. All right. He nodded, walking toward the computer and projecting a few missions on the table. Just when they were about to read the missions, Michelle received a message in her communication device. She read the message and furrowed her eyebrows. What happens? Kai noticed the change of expression and asked. The answer came in the form of disgust, throwing the communication device to Kai. Kai was confused about why she was like that and read it himself, but soon he heard her saying, We are not government dogs. He found out why she was annoyed in the first place. The message was like this. Kai's achievement in Prince Rupert brought the attention from the higher up, and now you have even destroyed the Eagle Group completely. It becomes a hot topic in the Bureau, forcing the Student Council to assign another mission. You shall go to Port Military Base in Cuba and assist their fight against the sea creatures. This time, Kai Carter shall act as a deputy commander, controlling the army to fight against 15,000 sea creatures and 5,000 flying beasts that are predicted to come. In 2 days from Pacific Ocean direction, we have informed the general over there about this, which he has accepted. You shall take command for our 3,000 soldiers, 500 elites, and 500 special military academy students, and bring us victory. The teacher will also go with you this time. Kai's expression darkened upon this point, but he kept reading it. P.S. This request comes from Michelle's grandfather, Mr. Nathan Graham. For any further complaint, you can direct it to him, Cess. Kai was stupefied, wondering whether Michelle had read this or not. In the end, he opened the contact and searched for his name, calling her directly. Others were confused. Oh, my lovely granddaughter, have you seen the request? He picked the call and asked with a happy tone. It's me, Kai said with a poker face, shocking him. Oi, oi, you brat. Isn't the normal one where you call your girlfriend and get picked up by her old man or something, not the other way around? Nathan complained. Can you please act like your age just once? Kai sighed. Isn't it fine? An easygoing grandfather is more preferred than those strict old men. Besides, I prefer this way as to enjoy the world more, haha. Kai, why are you calling my grandfather? Michelle recognized the familiar voice and asked. You must not read the message completely. The mission is coming from. Before he finished, Nathan continued, From me, gahaha. She immediately took the device from Kai and shouted, Are you going to kill him in this mission, gahaha? Just listen to me first. There are a few reasons for this, so let me explain this first before you complain, he said nonchalantly, not feeling any guilt with this mission. First reason is to make others recognize Kai. Although we don't really need a cheap thing like that, Kai still needs some recognition. I believe Kai wants to lead a normal life, right? Just think about this. If the famous Michelle Graham marries an unknown guy, what will others think about this? They would surely not accept. However, what if Michelle Graham marries the Kai Carter? This will immediately quell any unrest from it. We might not be afraid of problems, but if you want to lead a peaceful life, I believe we need this recognition to suppress the media or normal families to make trouble. That's why this is necessary. So to fasten the process, I issue this mission with my best friend. His son is the general there. So I believe you can learn many things and ride this wave to make him famous. After all, your achievement in Prince Rupert and Lion Group is not enough. Michelle paused, pondering the matter. After a minute of silence, she asked, A few reasons. What is the second reason? You want to get into the top 100th, right? I just use a bit of my connection in the military to fulfill your wish. And the last reason? Nah, never mind. Accept the mission and get over with it. As soon as he gains enough recognition, we will hold a grand wedding. I don't care if you will drop out or not, but I request a great-grandson or granddaughter. Anyway, I want to talk to Kai. She let out a long sigh, handing the device to Kai. What is the mission? Everyone was curious. Before handing the device to Kai, she connected the device to the computer, asking Evan to project it on the screen. Wah, I also need to join. Sanai looked at this mission with disgust. When Nathan heard it, he quickly told Kai to convey his message. Teacher, if you join the mission, there will be a separate monetary compensation to you. Also, you will get a 10% discount if you buy wines in the previous restaurant. Sanai blinked her eyes and laughed. Haha, you should tell that first. The wines there are pretty delicious, I am in. Nathan bought over Sanai in an instant. Kai stared at her with a poker face, thinking, money is scary. Anyway, your hearing ability and brain are good. Rather than going without ambition like you, it's better to follow my plan. From what I know, if you go like this, you can only retire around 20 years later. However, by making more achievements inside the school, you can retire or work inside the base after only 5 years. Besides, I doubt the situation in United Asia will die soon, so if I were you, I will join the army and rise through the ranks just to save my little sweetheart over there, if you know what I mean. Kai looked down for a minute, sighing. All right. They were too occupied by this mission, as they did not see Ayaka reading something in her communication device. If only they saw her grim expression, they would stop her from what she would say next. Unfortunately, she had gathered enough resolve as she walked toward Kai M. What is it? I can't participate in this mission. Why is there any problem with your family? Kai asked, with pure concern. Yeah, I need to do something. She nodded. She is lying. The thought flashed in his mind as soon as he heard that. He did not know why she lied, but decided to trust her. All right, since you have something to do, we will complete this mission with just 5 of us. She nodded. On the other side, Nathan also smiled mysteriously. Because this is a special mission, a military helicopter will carry you there tonight. I will send you the complete mission, Nathan said. Mission, defend the base. Description, take command of the soldiers and kill those creatures. Reward, 500, 0 sound and 15, 0 sound points. After checking the mission, Kai looked at them and said, we will meet again tonight. Chapter 1-2, Sanders, South Carolina. Graham House. The moonlight shone brightly, illuminating 2 old men in the backyard. They were sitting on a comfy couch, staring at each other with a weird, smug smile. Are you sure they can manage this? The first old man asked with a worried expression. They are fine. This grandson-in-law of mine is very slick in escaping, so even if he fails, nothing will happen. Nathan shrugged. Oi, we are still talking about a few thousand of our soldiers. He glared at him, telling him to get serious. I know. I want him to accumulate experiences in the front line as much as possible, since he will marry my lovely granddaughter. If we are talking about his brain, as far as I know, every time he gives an order, it's only after he has fully calculated in advance how many of them he expects to die. Being smart alone is not enough. Nathan sighed. So you are training him by using my son. He was a bit annoyed, of course. He admitted it with a poker face, not feeling any guilt in it. Though I also have another objective in mind, that little lass. Yeah, the old man narrowed his eyes. It's all good, but I feel the movement of magical beasts this time is very weird. Unlike a normal horde, they give a stench. Someone is controlling them. He furrowed his eyebrows. Yeah, usually magical beasts are moving with their instinct, but this time it gives a weird stench to my nose. This is why I allow that brat to take control of the base. I remember that he managed to locate a base that those useless elites could not. Maybe he could discover something from this incident. I see. Nathan looked down, pondering for a while. Well, Tasha can use teleportation magic to escape, so I guess it's fine. I won't underestimate them if I were you. He tilted his head in confusion, noticing that they were not on the same page. Out of curiosity, he asked, who are they? This is because you have retired from the military too long, and you make this plan without discussing it with your son. He sighed. They are. They continued discussing the matter, making Nathan's expression darken. At first, he thought about canceling the mission, but he stopped. Ultimately, he chose to believe Kai's power, except still sending 500 elite soldiers from their Graham house. On the other hand, Kai and the others just arrived at the military base, meeting a brown-haired, middle-aged man. His muscular body gave a sense of ferocity, telling them he was a fighter like them, not an office general. "Ah, you are." Michelle instantly recognized this person as the son of her grandfather's best friend. She had seen him on a few occasions. "You must be Sir Nathan's granddaughter, Michelle. A pleasure to meet you here." He nodded before finding two men beside her. He checked which one had the headphones and said, "You are Kai Carter, right?" "Yes. I have seen your report about the battle in Prince Rupert and the record of your battle against the Eagle Group. Although part of it is because my old man says so, I welcome you as my deputy. I will treat you as my intern advisor in this base and let you take command of the army. However, when I feel I need to step in, you won't give any orders anymore. Are we clear?" "I understand." He certainly understood how absurd it was for a student to command the army, more so a young man less than 18 years old. If not because of the good record where he managed to save the soldiers in Prince Rupert, he would decline even if the request came from his old man. "Good. A pleasure to work with you. My name is Sanders. Just call me Sir Sanders or General Sanders." He stretched his hand for a handshake. Kai knew they could not get too familiar. Even Michelle should call him the same despite their relationship, so Kai smiled and shook his hand. "Yes, sir. We have an empty room in a barrack, so assuming you have no issue in sleeping with your entire group, then I will lead you there. We can talk tomorrow morning." Kai glanced at his teammates, including Sanai, and saw no qualm for them. "Thank you, sir." Sanders then led him to their room and left. The room had one table for reading and 5 bunk beds, which was supposed to be a small 10-person room. Whether it was fortunate or unfortunate, since there were only 5 of them, they agreed to take each bunk bed for themselves, using the top bed to place their luggage. "What are we going to do tomorrow?" Michelle asked. Kai did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked over the map, finding the terrain around the area. Seeing this, Sanaya also took out her communication device and searched for the map before furrowing her eyebrows. 15,000 sea creatures and 5,000 flying beasts, Sanaya muttered to herself, weighing something in her mind. The room fell into silence as Evan was just staring at them, not doing anything. Michelle walked to Kai, sitting beside him as she looked at the map without saying anything. On the other hand, Tasha simply had no interest in this, as she was never good with this kind of stuff. Kai let out a long sigh, followed by Sanaya's sigh. Michelle tilted her head in confusion. "What is it? Is there any problem with this battle?" "I will just let him explain it." Sanaya shrugged, pointing her finger at Kai. Kai let her see the map and asked, "According to our position, where do you think we will fight?" "This base is close to the sea, so around this base," she answered with an unsure tone. "Well, the magical beasts would surely spread out if we fight around the base, so we need to move our fronts elsewhere. According to the information provided by Sir Nathan, they are coming from the Bahamas. If I am the general, I will move my soldiers to 3 fronts. I will station 1,000 soldiers in the hill on our left, giving them a terrain advantage. In the middle, there is a small town that we can use to slow them down. On the other hand, in the right field, we only have a large wheat field without any advantage at all," he explained. "So, they're going to have the most brutal fight." "You can say so, but there is another problem with this, and I assume this is the reason why teacher sighed." Kai glanced at Sanai, who nodded her head. "You are right. The problem is the number. They have 20,000, while we only have 4,000. It's already far too disadvantageous, considering we are not fighting sea creatures alone. I will also split the same way as Kai, with 1,000 reserve soldiers to fight the flying beasts. As for the problem, you can explain it." Sanai shrugged, not wanting to say more. Kai nodded and continued, "Their number is too big. With how the magical beasts usually move, they will certainly split evenly. For example, if the right army is hit by 5,000 sea creatures alone, they would need at least 2 days before they could fight them. In other words, the soldiers would fight tirelessly like magical beasts, leaving them at a disadvantage. That is the purpose of the terrain. Yeah, the middle and left armies should be able to finish them by splitting their groups into 2 and having a rotation. This way, we can conserve the soldiers' strength. Unfortunately, the right army has none of that, Even if we send our reserve, we need to be wary of the flying beasts, he sighed. I somehow understand it. Michelle nodded. Should we go to the right army and kill those magical beasts? I mean, Tasha could teach them how to fly again. My limit is 2,000, Tasha added, afraid they would put too much expectation on her. 3,000 left, still not enough with that open field and no pincer attack. Kai closed his eyes, picturing how the battle would progress. Evan suggested to him, I can stay in the right army, healing most of them. Although I can't recover their energy, with a few hours of recovery, they should be able to enter the fight again. Yeah, that's what I am planning. But I still need to see if I have any other ways. He looked at Sinai and asked, Teacher, do you want to add something? Maybe I am missing something. Please share your wisdom, my wisdom. Why do you say it like I am old? I am old, I am only 7 or 8 years older than you. She snorted. Well, I have a few suggestions, but won't affect your plan that much except this one advice. Take a look at the town's position. Sinai shrugged. Kai could not understand her advice, and took a look at the map again. He stared at the town, the hill, and the wheat field for a few hours. Formulating a plan, he smiled. Interesting. Sinai just shrugged, making a little smile. At the same time, Ayaka arrived at her destination, finding a rundown house in front of her. She left the group for a while just to seek a person, according to Nathan's instruction. Gathering her resolve for the last time, she finally took a step forward and rang the bell. I have been waiting for you. Come in. A woman's voice was heard from inside, prompting her to open the door. She gulped down before opening the door slowly and coming inside. Excuse me. Chapter 113. Tabletop Strategist. The next day, Kai and his group gathered in the meeting room, planning to talk about the battle. Besides, the general were 3 people, 2 females and 1 male. They released a powerful pressure that riled up his instinct. The first one was a young woman, the same age as Sinai apparently, giving a cold gaze at him. The second female was a middle-aged woman, close to the general's age, smiling at him to break the tension. On the other hand, the other man laid back on his chair, playing with his gum. Ahem. These 3 are my subordinates, and each of them is in charge of 1,000 men. I have told them that I would let you make the battle plan, and I will step up as soon as we have an emergency. Sanders took out a few papers, handing them to Kai. I will explain the basic stuff about this base to you. We currently have 15 for both fighters and gunners, and 500 elites who can fight twice or thrice of their number easily, and 500 privates from the military academy. According to our information, Graham family also sent 500 elites to us, but will only arrive tomorrow noon. So, let me ask Kai Carter. If you are the general here, what will you want us to do? Kai's expression turned serious as his first test came. He walked toward the map, starting to explain his original plan. I will split the army. Kai explained the same plan as he said to Michelle and the others, getting nods from every person in the room as a sign of approval. The generals also had the same thought as him, including the risk of the right army. Good, you have the same thought as me, General Sanders smiled. To think you have reached this level just by little information and terrain, it's good enough for a student. Those words made Kai smile, not because he took it as a compliment, but more as a challenge. General, may I give a suggestion? Oh. Sanders furrowed his eyebrows, glancing at his subordinates, who changed their expressions. All right. Let's hear it. Kai then pointed at the city in the middle. If one looked carefully between the 3 terrains, the city was further on the front than the other 2. I want to use the city as an anchor point to split the enemies entirely to our favor. The general opened his eyes wide, surprised by the plan. Even the male commander stopped playing with his gum and listened attentively. Continue. Kai nodded. If we station the troops slightly lean to the right side, we can somehow make more magical beasts go to the left army and less to the right. Hence, I propose to exchange 300 gunners from the middle army with 300 fighters from the left army. After all, the middle army will take the full brunt of this strategy. If there are not enough fighters, the plan will fail. Meanwhile, with the terrain advantage, the gunners will show its true might and wipe the sea creatures out. At the same time, we have lifted a portion of the right army's burden. Our reserve will stay until the flying beast comes. I know that the magical beasts will still attack us, even at night. With this plan, I am sure we can somehow split the soldiers into two to conserve our stamina since we only need to buy time until the sun comes up, Kai explained with passion. Whistle Kai looked at the male commander, who was whistling after listening to his explanation. He laughed. Haha, this kid is interesting, indeed. Sanders shook his head helplessly, wondering what kind of monster did his father send. In tabletop alone, you are slightly better than me. However, the battle on the actual battlefield is different from the tabletop battle. Will we be able to maintain our composure even when enemies are drawing near to slay us? Do you think you'll be able to calmly give orders that will result in actual people getting killed by the beasts? Giving a suggestion is easy, but we need to take account of the morale of the soldiers, casualties and such. For example, my original plan is to use Graham family's elites to help the Middle Army before helping the Right Army with a portion of the Middle Army. This will make the soldiers think the Middle Army is victorious, thus raising the morale of the Right Army. On the other hand, your plan does not calculate the reinforcement from Graham family, so that I will dispatch them the same. After the Right and Middle Armies have destroyed all magical beasts in the area, they will relieve the Left Army. Sanders carefully inserted his opinion. He did not want Kai to get over the top, but also not to shoot him down. After all, many geniuses might fall over if they shot him too hard, resulting in sealing their true potential. On the other hand, if they got over the top, it would only lead to more casualty, so normal was the best. General, how about I and Mia change places? I was originally in charge of the Right Army because of the Severnus, but with this, I think I should take command of the Middle Army. The male commander smirked. Granted, he decisively agreed. There is one more general. Kai stopped their excitement. Actually, as you might know, my two companions are S-rank magicians. I believe we can speed up the process by having them join the battle, and I am planning to ask them to go to the Middle Army. They could kill a huge portion of the enemy by using their uniqueness, and I am sure you have known Evan Young's ability. So I ask him to join the Left Army to heal the little fighters they have. Although he can't recover their energy, the Left Army should have enough time to buy time until their comrades could recover by utilizing the terrain. Lastly, I asked my teacher to accompany Evan as his guard in this battle. To be honest, I can think of this plan thanks to my teacher hinting me. He smiled with appreciation. Ha ha ha. If I am not wrong, there is an S rank that can use space magic. I have read the news about your ability. What is it called again? Teaching them how to fly. That is surely hilarious but powerful. If I can witness it in this battle, I have no qualm. The male commander laughed so hard until he nearly fell off his chair. Oh, on the other hand, the general narrowed his eyes, staring at Shiratsuka Sanae. If I am not wrong, you have some experience in the army back in United Asia, right? May I know if you have joined any squad back then? Elite Snake Corp. Not only the general, but all his subordinates also fell into silence, staring at her. It was one of the top 10 elite groups, famous for its extraordinary piercing strength. The group contained 3 platoons and could penetrate a swarm of magical beasts to save their allies. Even a person like him knew such an existence. No wonder. Actually, I have another request. I would like to observe our actual battlefield to ensure we can utilize the terrain, Kai asked. Haha. The male commander laughed again, staring at General Sanders. General, just admit and give him a max score already. Sigh. Sanders shook his head helplessly. I want to give him 120. You might not know about him, but I heard he has an extraordinary hearing that can observe up to a few kilometers. In other words, he should be able to observe the entire battlefield progress just by hearing it. His brain is extraordinary, and if he has gained enough experience, he would surely become a fierce general on the battlefield. Though I am also afraid that his subordinates will be too dependent on him, limiting their own potential. That's why you need to heed this advice. When one's genius shines too brightly, it casts a shadow. Kai bowed his head, understanding his advice. He did not know why, but Ayaka's image flashed on his mind, making him think if this was what she felt back then. He thought, by taking charge, it seems I have limited her potential. I should reflect on it and give her and the others a chance. All right, introduce yourself first. General Sanders looked at his 3 subordinates. The first cold beauty stood up, giving a salute to him. I am Sarah, the commander of the Left Army. You don't need to worry about your friend's safety. as I will ensure his safety personally. And this Sarah will only serve the strong. Jack only raised his hand, not standing up. Jack. Though I may look like this, I am pretty sturdy. I usually play the defense role and see the most brutal fights. Just leave the city to me. I will ensure the split is around 65 to 35, since it would seem the ideal in my head. Marsha here, nice job, young man. Why don't I accompany you in checking the battlefield? I can provide you the necessary information and take you to the sky, making it easier for you to observe. The middle-aged woman smiled gently, inviting him. Kai glanced at Michelle and Tasha, seeking their approval. Seeing this, she added, "Ahaha, don't worry. I won't steal your man since I am not into a younger one. Isn't this why you are still single, old hag?" Jack smirked, seeking death. Marsha grabbed his head, turning to Sarah. "Sarah, open the window, please. I need to throw garbage." "Here." Sarah obediently opened it. Marsha then threw Jack before boosting him with her wind magic, sending him far, far away. Old hag. Even then, Jack did not learn his lesson and yelled as he flew away. Kai and the others could only stare at them, speechless. Chapter 1-4, A Voice from the Sea. Before going with Marsha, Kai asked them to find an area where they could use their full prowess. Although the plan was carefully laid out, he might not be able to assist them in the battle. The reserve position, which was not far behind the middle army, allowed him to observe the entire battlefield with his own hand. Considering his presence in this place was a strategist instead of fighter or commander, Michelle and Tasha had no qualms and let him go. On the other hand, Evan and Sanai were busy discussing their positioning, since they would have the most brutal fight. After instructing what they needed to do, he walked outside the base and found Marsha right in front of the exit. Marsha was looking at the sky when Kai exited the base. This base would soon become chaotic, and many soldiers would die. Hearing the clicking sound of the door, she turned around and smiled. "Have you finished your business?" "Yes." He looked at Marsha and took the opportunity to ask, "Where will we go first?" The question made her chuckle as she pointed her finger at him. "Though you might not have the authority, you can be considered as the boss in this battle, just like your original mission. In other words, I will be your subordinate in this battle, so you can choose where you want to go." Or are you bothered by Sarah's response? "No. I mean, I am just a student while you are elites. You are off the mark there." She raised her palm, making a stop sign. "What differentiates you and an elite like me?" Kai looked down, pondered for a moment and shook his head. "I don't know. It's experience." She crossed her arms, ready to give a little lecture. "This is the biggest misconception students have. We, elites, actually don't have anything special other than our experiences. Just like a normal school, they cram all the knowledge into you and throw you out after you graduate. Whether it is a normal job or soldier job, it is the same. You apply everything you learn in the school, learn what you can or can't do, and get experience. After several years doing such a job, you would be skilled in doing that particular job, and so on. It's not like we are stronger than you in terms of magic power and talent. In fact, we are the same. It's just because we have been fighting for so many years that we can use our power more skillfully, know when to act, where to strike, or how to attack. Can we finally be a little different from you? Remember when General Sanders called you a good strategist in a tabletop battle, not in the real battlefield? You possess a little experience on the battlefield. How can you know the soldiers will follow your order to the death? How can you know the soldiers would not run in the face of death? Even General Sanders did not know it, but with the experience he has, he could somehow predict it more accurately than you. So, don't be complacent about what you have and learn everything you can. Eventually, you will become an elite like us." She had talked too long and decided to end it with advice. Kai looked down, pondering her words for 1 minute before smiling at her. "Thank you. Sure. So, where are we going, little strategist? Right army, middle army, left army, and then reserve army?" "Sure." She nodded, clapped her hand, and made a green magic circle, boosting them to the air. Kai was startled, not expecting that the wind could carry him. This never happened when he was with Sanae, so he deliberately thought it was not possible. "It took me a few years to master my magic control, so I can carry you like this, which is another example of how useful experience is." Kai nodded, not knowing why but thinking about Commander Jack. If he were here, he would surely say, As expected of an old hag, she loves to boast her age experience and get thrown away once again. As if she had an instinct in that sensitive topic, she turned to him and said with a serious expression, "One more piece of advice. Just don't be like that guy Jack, who has no courtesy. Be a man that can be polite and respect others, okay?" Kai chuckled and nodded. She then clapped her hand to produce a forward movement at the speed of a normal person's running speed. It only took them a few minutes before they could see a huge wheat field with an army camp in the center. They did not land per Kai's request, as his purpose was to observe the terrain, albeit they decided to walk around the camp for a few minutes because of Marsha's urging. Her reason was to get him accustomed to the people on the battlefield and know the atmosphere around them, whether it was anxiety or full of fighting spirit. The soldiers were pretty energetic. Kai knew the reason, as the female soldiers idolized her, and the male soldiers were feasting their eyes with her appearance. It could be said the most popular person in this base was her, and sometimes people called her the mother of the base, as she often took care of them. Unfortunately, Kai never cared about it and just let her do her own thing. Noticing the bored look on Kai's face, she shook her head helplessly and walked toward him. The curious gazes from the soldiers made Kai walk even further. "Sorry, we will talk again tonight. Do your job first, and shall someone not finish their work, you know what will happen." Something beyond his imagination happened as soon as the soldiers heard her order, despite not giving it in a strict way. All soldiers instantly straightened their back and saluted. "Yes, ma'am." Then they dismissed themselves and began working their jobs. Kai could not comprehend what just happened and stared at Marsha for a few seconds. "You should join me earlier. They are good boys and girls." He carefully examined the soldiers and shook his head. "It's impossible. Even after you said all of that, I'm still a student. If they know their lives are in the hand of a random student, they will cause a ruckus. This must be the reason why General Sanders does not appoint me as an official." Sigh. She clapped her hand and carried him again to the sky without replying to his statement. They continued their journey to the Middle Army. Though their discipline was not comparable to those in the Right Army, the soldiers looked very powerful. According to Marsha, they were Jack's personal soldiers, muscle brain type soldiers. In fact, most of the fighters in this base were under Jack only because they were stationed with Marsha or Sarah. They slowly thought of things other than fighting. Jack assured Kai that they would surely position themselves in the best spot after looking at how the magical beasts marched. Idiotic as he may be, Jack was by no means a fool. Even Marsha acknowledged his eyes on the battlefield. Kai felt relieved knowing his sister and Michelle were in good hands. As long as he was not a fool that only knew how to charge, it was fine. After talking for a few minutes with Michelle and Tasha, Kai continued to the left army and met Sarah. Unfortunately, she did not say anything to him and only focused on her own job. She ignored even Sanai and Evan as she said, "You do you, I do me." In the end, Marsha could only apologize for her attitude. Sarah had conveyed her intention clear, telling them that she only would talk to the strong. Though Kai showed his strategical prowess, she had yet to see his other ability. He decided to ignore her and check the actual terrain himself. The hill was steep and would be deadly to magical beasts if used correctly. Marsha agreed with him and told Sarah about it, since she did not ignore her. Then, he finally went to the last army, the reserve, which was commanded by General Sanders himself. "Oh, you are finally here." Sanders put down the matter on hand and walked to him before signaling Marsha to go back to her army. "Do you need something from me, General? How is our terrain? What feeling do you have after observing my soldiers?" The terrain can be used to destroy the magical beasts if used in the right way. As for the soldiers, I only know their fighting spirit is high. Kai crossed his arms and used his hand to support his chin. "It's good enough for now. From what my old man said, you don't want to serve the army very long, right?" "Yes," he answered, embarrassed. "Haha, you don't need to feel that way. There are many people like you since we have no obligation to fight. I just want you to promise me not to rest your weapon, even if you are not in the front line anymore. We don't know if civilization will be overturned once again." "Yes, good. Then I will explain the situation around the base. Firstly, our soldiers." The commander continued explaining to him the general situation before noticing Kai's abnormal expression. Kai Carter. It was at this time Kai heard something he would never expect. "Lake Ftit, Chkla, Kartha Moi, Tioi, Kai froze upon hearing this conversation, and his muscles tensed abruptly. One of them had the frequency of a dolphin's sound, while the other one had a frequency close to a human's voice. Those two voices came from their north, and most importantly, it was coming from above the sea, KH. He knew nothing about this language, and even wondered whether this was a human language or not. Chapter 15 Theme Emergency K. The more he tried to comprehend the language or the tone, the more the veins on his head bulged. Kai Carter. General Sanders shook his body, calling him back to reality. He could not find the reason why Kai suddenly looked like he was possessed, but it made his heart skip a beat. His father and Nathan Graham had entrusted his safety to him, so him acting like that made him sweat. General, sorry I was too focused. Kai shook his head, regaining his composure. Seeing how he came back brought him peace of mind. He went around him, observed him from top to bottom, and asked, "What just happened to you?" Kai didn't answer straight away. He thought for nearly a minute before saying, "I'll ask you something strange first." "Sure, ask me," General Sanders said with a serious expression. "Do we have any people in our above the ocean?" Above the ocean? He expected some strange questions, but this one truly toppled them. He recalled every mission and transport around this area before shaking his head. "As far as I know, no." Kai fell into silence once more before saying, "General knows about my hearing, right?" "Yeah, I has been informed. Actually, I have heard two people, or whatever, talking in a strange language. Most importantly, according to my ears, one of them talked in the same frequency as a human voice, but another one talked in a dolphin's frequency, around 30 U0 to 40,000 hertz. Unless you have my ears, you won't even understand." "Wah!" He stared at him with empty eyes for nearly a minute. After coming back to reality, the general didn't say a word. Instead, he nodded as a gesture for Kai to recount his story. Kai hesitated for a moment, then honestly said, "The dolphin voice felt like a male voice, while the other had a female voice. They are located in our north, around 4 kilometers ahead." General Sanders crossed his arms, recalled something in his mind, and asked him another question. "What is the limit of your hearing?" The frequency. Normal humans can hear 20 to 20 U00s, but I can hear 0, 5 to 100 0,000 hertz. Kai fell into silence after answering him. In fact, because of this hearing frequency, he could use the echolocation magic. He tried to reproduce their tone in human language, hoping Sanders would understand. "They talk like this, Lorcanit and Sklarkita Moa, or something along the line." He tried his best to reproduce it, but fell short. This might be bad. General Sanders scratched his head, thinking about how to deal with this. He looked at Kai, one of the most important lives in this base, and grabbed his shoulder. "Prepare your luggage, as you will go home tomorrow." Kai was stunned by that order, furrowed his eyebrows, and asked to confirm if he heard it right. "I need to go back tomorrow." "What do you mean, General Sanders?" Sanders realized the importance of Kai's hearing ability and thought about how to secure his safety first. He took his communication device out of his pocket and checked the schedule before saying, "You and your team will go back tomorrow as soon as the reinforcements arrive." Without waiting for Kai to respond, he walked away from him and started typing something. In Graham family's manner, the two old men, who were relaxing by playing chess, got interrupted by the sudden high-pitched sound from their communication device. "Sorry, it's mine." Nathan grabbed the communication device beside him before another squeaking sound startled him. "It's mine this time." It was the same old man from yesterday, General Sanders' father, Ethan. He also opened his communication device, halting the game for a moment. "My son is calling me." "My son too." Nathan was surprised as he exchanged looks with Ethan, feeling something wrong. "Son, why do you call me?" Both of them picked up the call and asked at the same time. Like father, like son, Sanders and Michael answered at the same time. "Father, we have an emergency." Wait. Calm down and tell me what happens." They really besties, as they answered with the same line. "That has appeared, and they will attack my Sanders' base 3 tiles." Their eyes met and realized how important this information was. According to the way they called him, Sanders would surely know more, so Nathan decided to hang up his call. "Ethan is in front of me, and his son is calling him. I will listen to their conversation rather than having a confusing discussion with you." Ethan placed his device on the table and activated the speaker so Nathan could hear their conversation. I am in old Nathan's house. Tell me what you mean by that has appeared. This. Ethan looked at Nathan and nodded. Nathan's expression turned dark as he asked, How are my Kai and the others? They are still in the base. Considering they are coming from the north of our location, I'm requesting a reinforcement. I have told Michael to bring more reinforcements as a rescue squad. On the other hand, I hope you can come from South Carolina to our base before noon. Good decision. If that really appears, then it's a bad choice to send the kids back right now with their current location. They might even die on the way. Ethan nodded, pinching the bridge between his eyebrows before asking, Are there any student groups around you? Check it and order them to gather in your base. We can't rescue them in a separate place if they are too far. This battle would surely escalate to something bad. Understood. I will immediately check it. How long will the magical beasts arrive at your base? Dawn, around 5 a.m. Stay. Nathan gritted his teeth and slammed the table with a furious expression. If we attack them carelessly, we would be the one who gets destroyed. We can only arrive there right before noon, around 11 a.m. I can bring 2,000 elites with me, and I will ask the military here to spare some soldiers and transportations. Sanders exhaled and answered, I plan to abandon the base if they have killed half of us. We can build another base if it's destroyed, but it's hard to train soldiers. I will talk it out with the government after this incident, so you don't need to worry, Ethan assured him. Understood. I want to ask one thing. Is Kai over there? How is his strategic ability? Sanders recalled Kai's plan and realized why his father asked that. He is good. Because of our distance between 4 armies, I will ask him to take command of HQ using his hearing. Good. He can buy time as long as he plays the card right. Yes. Sanders nodded before falling into deep thought. Kai's plan is using all of his teammates. Should I recall them and have them wait inside the base? None. It's better if they are somewhere around you since that is like us and hard to predict. Instead, ask Kai to observe their every move. Ethan answered, All right. You just need to hold out for a few hours. Remember, your opponent is as smart as humans and can employ techniques. Because your rank is not high enough, I give you special permission to tell Kai about this, but you need to tell it as vague as possible. After they are rescued, Nathan or I will explain it to him personally. Understood. I will fulfill my duty as the general of this place. Sanders nodded. On the other side, You are going? Nathan asked with a serious expression. He nodded. With how you have entrusted your little Michelle and grandson-in-law to my son and me, it's obvious I am also responsible for it. It's been a while since I last fought. You are not rusty, right? Nathan asked him seriously without having a single intention to tease. He wanted to make sure not to bring someone useless in this mission, considering how dangerous it would be later. Of course not. Still, it seems we have another opportunity to fight together again. Good. Nathan nodded and said to Sanders, Do your own task well. I will surely bring you reinforcement before noon. Thank you, Sir Nathan. He hung up the call. As soon as the call ended, Nathan shouted, Brian, Albert, get your asses right here. The shout echoed through the entire manor, startling many people, especially those two whose names were called. They were relaxing inside the mansion, before they immediately opened the window near them and jumped out, running toward Nathan as fast as possible. Father. It only took them a few seconds to appear in front of him. You two are going to assemble all our men, leaving a few enough to protect the shore. I will fill you the details later. What happens, Father? Where are you going? Brian asked. I am going to our South Carolina military base to ask for a few helicopters and others. Anyway, your time limit is dawn. Nathan did not waste another minute and quickly leaped to the outside. Understood. Brian and Albert still answered, despite knowing their father would not hear it. Do you need my help? Ethan, who was left behind, asked Brian and Albert. This South Carolina was not his jurisdiction, so Nathan was more effective in talking with the army. In that case, helping these two men would be better than doing nothing. No. We are completely fine with the task. Thank you for your concern, Sir Ethan. Brian politely declined his suggestion and left. Then, please excuse us. Still, why did they appear at a time like this? Ethan looked at the sky, pondered for a moment and sighed because he did not know the answer. Chapter 116. Eve of Chaos. After hanging up the call, Sanders glanced back at Kai General. He wanted to say he heard it all, but stopped, fully knowing Sanders also understood it. As you have heard, we have an emergency because of that appearance. Don't ask me about this matter, as my position is not high enough to tell you this military secret. I can only tell you one thing. You need to treat this as a battle between humans, a strategy versus strategy. I will change the reserve army into a special roaming unit to help the other armies while fighting the flying beasts. He sent something with his communication device. The message contains all the code used in the military. I don't know if they could decipher our communication or not, but try to use them as much as possible. Understood. Kai wanted to ask a few more questions, but decided to hold it for the time being. One of his questions was about the usage of the radio. And by the looks of it, he could use the radio for this battle with a restriction. Firstly, he could only talk to the general and commanders so as to prevent aggroing the magical beasts. Secondly, there were too many codes to remember, so he needed to start memorizing them. Sanders nodded and turned back as he assembled a few people by a single call. I have a few jobs for all of you. First, check every student in the area and our surroundings, including Guatemala to Panama. Second, inform the bases from Colombia and Venezuela to prepare for an attack against the magical beasts horde. Third, tell the other commanders to prepare to abandon the base at any notice. I will explain the details in the meeting tonight and make sure to maintain the army's morale. Those people left as soon as they received the order. On the other hand, the general came back to him, forgetting one last thing. I want you to be careful against this opponent. If something happens, you and the others will retreat first by using the base helicopters to Colombia. Thanks to your hearing ability, we could somehow prepare for this and have some hope to hold them back. Besides, I want you and your group on the battlefield as I fear they might come from behind. Currently, we have 2 reinforcements coming from the west and the north. The west is your rescue squad focusing on escorting you or any other students around the area. Meanwhile, the one in the north is coming from Graham family targeting the back of our enemy right now. I heard that we couldn't be careless in dealing with our opponent, but how about sending their army to ambush the flying beasts instead? Kai asked. Considering they were coming from the Pacific Ocean, the Graham family should be able to ambush the army from South Carolina. He did not say it was a good plan or a bad plan because of a certain reason, not knowing if he could disclose it or not. He only patted Kai's shoulders twice before saying, "Just ask where everything started to Michelle's grandfather or my father. They will surely tell you if you are qualified. After all, you are a Zodiac and have a big reputation, or at least in the Bureau." Kai looked down, pondered for a moment, and sighed. I understand. I will only focus on this battle right now, though I wish some kind of clue on how powerful my opponents are to make a better judgment. He pondered for a moment, thinking about what he could say or not. In the end, he could only say, "Just think about fighting an S-magical beast with human intelligence. That's quite dangerous." Kai narrowed his eyes. Though he never fought an S-rank magical beasts, he heard it would need many elites just to defeat it. The last record even said they needed 3 S-rank magicians, and one of them almost died. Along with them, they also brought an army close to 10,000 just to clear the area around, because a single roar from an S-rank magical beasts would bring many magical beasts nearby. According to the record, even after killing the S-rank magical beast, they were still in pursuit of more than 100,000 magical beasts, from the magical beasts on the ground and in the sky. In fact, Michelle might be called to fight this magical beast sooner or later, considering she was one of the S-rank magicians. He would surely not leave her alone, so he was planning to accompany her. Kai felt this chance was precious to grasp the behavior of magical beasts. He even remembered about his new magic, resonant beam. The lack of tests in living magical beasts restricted his ability to the fullest. The first thing that came to his mind when making this magic was whether he could create a resonance with magical beasts, allowing him to kill them from inside. Just like how he used a sound wave at 19 Hz to vibrate human eyeballs, he should be able to shake magical beasts' brains as long as he found the right frequency. Knowing his mission in this battle, Kai took a deep breath before recalling something. Sea creatures, that's right. They are sea creatures. He tilted his head, looked at him, and patted his shoulder. Anyway, I need to go. We will have a meeting with many people tonight, but I am not planning to let you join because I want to keep our morale high. Please understand. Don't worry. I know by bringing me there will pummel their morale. After all, no matter how many flowery words you say, it is hard to convince someone to leave their lives on the hand of an unknown student. Kai nodded understandingly. Thanks. When he was about to leave, he remembered another thing. Don't tell anyone about this, including Michelle. As for Pisces, Evan Young, with his computer skill, I am sure he can look it up. Just don't mention anything to him before the battle. In fact, I want you to battle without hoping for anything. Understood? He nodded. After getting the confirmation from Kai, he finally left, not returning and telling him he forgot to say another thing again. Meanwhile, Kai crossed his arms, closed his eyes, and tapped his forehead a few times. They are sea creatures. Unlike the ground magical beasts, not many of them can stay on the land. In fact, the beasts will probably either be crabs, snails, turtles, and the like. There is too much that humanity does not know about sea creatures that restrict me in this, but I should not be emphasized in that. Just like I don't know about them, they are also unaware of my hearing ability. I will use this hearing ability to counter their every move while testing my power. Still, the reinforcement I think I will fight without putting the reinforcement in my plan. Why are you putting on such a dark face? It's enough for my element to be dark, not you. Michelle had finished her business in the Middle Army, so she came to check on him. Kai didn't show a look of surprise, as he pondered for a few seconds before saying, No, just trust me, okay? She frowned. I always trust you. I always want to be a hero on the battlefield, and you approve of that, so I know you won't send me to my death. Kai closed his eyes and smiled before thinking of his plan for tomorrow. Are you still going to be here? Yeah. Let me be here for a while. Kai nodded and watched her leave. In the meantime, he started looking at the battlefield in the worst case possible. He was confident in teleporting 50 people to Columbia if he released all of his power and Tasha's space magic. By that time, he would require to sacrifice close to 4,000 people. He might not be a hero or something, but it would certainly leave a bad taste if he abandoned that many people. Then he slowly cracked open the other possibilities. As if he was too absorbed with his thought, he did not notice that the bright sky had turned dark. Michelle and the others were waiting for him in the base, not wanting to disturb him at the moment after seeing how serious he was. Kai shook his head, walked to the base, and laid down on his bed. Michelle asked about what happened, but he refused to answer since he promised Sanders. He rolled around his base while memorizing the military codes. The next day, Kai woke up early, only to find his group woke up earlier than him. As the one who had been beside him for a long time, Tasha noticed a change of his expression and asked, Looking at your expression, do you have a change of plan? Yeah, sister. I want you to save your magic power from the start. He smiled at her with his blurry eyes before turning to the others. Michelle also needs to conserve your magic power. On the other hand, Teacher should use all of your power to get rid of as many monsters as possible. Evan might need to watch out for himself in this battle, Kai thought with how they positioned themselves. If the enemy were truly intelligent, they would surely attack the left army with their numeric advantage. In other words, if they could chip a portion of their number, the battle would not be as dangerous anymore. On the other hand, the others had a trace of surprise on their face and realized whatever was bothering his mind, it would surely be bad. Leave the middle army to me, Michelle and Tasha answered at the same time. As long as the magical beasts act with their instinct, I can take care of myself. Evan nodded, assuring him. Different from him, Sanai could only complain. Sigh. Maybe I should leave this group, or at least take a break, like Ayaka. Chapter 117. Warkai and his group walked toward the meeting room. In there sat a few men and women waiting for the general to come. Jack quickly rose from his seat, walked toward Kai, and deliberately put his hand on Kai's shoulder, acting like a buddy. You heard it yesterday. General Sanders has officially raised this man's status as our temporary advisor, though the highest command would still be in General Sanders' hand. As long as the general does not cut in, you guys should follow his order. When they were about to put an unhappy expression, General Sanders walked in, smacking the book in his hand on the back of Jack's head. Slap. What are you doing here? Jack froze upon hearing his voice. He turned around and smiled while stroking the back of his head. Oh, General, I am just introducing this little guy to the others. General Sanders rolled his eyes, pushed Kai forward, and reintroduced him. This is Kai Carter, and he will take command of our entire army. I have a few reasons for this, but there is no way I will put a newbie without several good reasons. If you trust me with your life, follow this kid's instructions because the next war will be a big one. Yes, sir. All of them instantly rose and saluted to him. Sanders nodded and turned his head toward the line group before looking at Kai. Our plan has not changed. Buy enough time until the reinforcement arrives. If we have passed our limit, immediately order a retreat. Understood. All right, go to your position. The enemy will arrive in 1.5 hours. They gave another salute before leaving the room. Sinai carried Evan like baggage and flew to the sky while Tasha and Michelle teleported to the middle army, leaving Kai alone in the middle of the reserve army. It was still 4 a.m. The darkness still enveloped the world, and the cold air created tension in the atmosphere. Kai took a glimpse of the soldiers' expressions. Most students from the military academy tensed up, knowing the sea creatures would come in an hour. On the other hand, the elites were joking with each other, like bonding in the army. He took a deep breath before looking to his right, finding Sanders a few meters away. Without needing to organizing his words, Sanders said a line he always used when leading the army. The path you have chosen is a path of sacrifice, and it is by overcoming these trials that you will grow stronger. There is no such word as we are stronger or they are stronger. Only the victor is the stronger one. Now it is time to etch our name as the stronger one today. Good luck to you. Yes, sir. Kai saluted to Sanders, who walked away after saying his piece. Not long after, the soldiers took their position under Sanders's instruction. He did not know why, but this looked like traditional warfare in the past, except the weapons were magic weapons, and they had guns instead of bows. Kai stopped planning and relaxed his mind. 1 hour later, Kai slowly opened his eyes, sensing many footsteps on the shore. He rose from his seat, put on the radio that was connected to the 3 commanders, and Sander before saying, "They have arrived. The middle army will see them in around 3 minutes." In the middle army, Jack laughed abruptly, glanced at Tasha and Michelle, and smirked. "Your boyfriend is truly ridiculous." Tasha made a smug smile while Michelle pointed her finger at Tasha. "She is his sister. We are not blood related, so it's safe." Tasha snorted before glaring at her. "Though, I want to joke around with you guys a bit more. It seems we need to finish our business first." Jack shook his head helplessly as he walked toward the soldiers. They positioned themselves outside of the city to become an anchor point, before using the city to kill the magical beasts. The fighters made a few layers of V-shaped position, consisting of 200 fighters. Each, according to Jack's plan, it was the best ratio to split the enemy. The very front layer would certainly take serious damage, while the layer behind them acted as a reserve to fill the hole if someone died. The 2 others were ready to flank the enemy from the right, preventing them from going to the right army after a certain number of magical beasts. As for the gunners, they were there to support the main fighters. Although a few could use their magic, most of them better used their magic power to shoot the gun, as it was only wasting their magic power. Michelle stared at the gunners and fighters. She could think like this because of their current situation. If Kai went into the military academy, he might certainly become like them. Although Kai's prowess would not let him die like cannon fodders, the potential of his death was still high. Kai certainly would not want that, making Michelle very adamant to it. She turned to Tasha. "Though Kai asks us to save our energy, I think a few big moves are fine. Don't you think so?" "Indeed. The moment they stop the magical beasts from moving to the right army, I will use my teleportation magic to make it easier. In any case, the top priority is to survive," Michelle said with a severe expression. "I don't know what Kai hides from us, but it's certainly something bad. I agree with you, though." "Don't you want to be a hero?" Tasha smirked, teasing Michelle. Michelle wasn't surprised by her teasing, as she had no change in expressions. She looked at Tasha with a small smile. "That is just a childhood's dream." "How can I never have a dream like that?" She did not say anything for a few seconds before taking out her 2 shadow blades. Tasha thought Michelle was going to attack him. Instead, she saw Michelle turn around, walking to the front. "Tasha, leave my back to you." A hint of astonishment appeared on her face as Tasha took out her bow. It took another minute before everyone could see a horde of sea creatures coming from the horizon. Most of them were giant crabs, snails, slugs, turtles, and octopus. After the evolution a few centuries ago, mollusks could travel easily through the sea, and some even gained the ability to live in the land for a while, such as the octopus. Their size came in variety, but the smallest one was around half of the human's normal height. And this battle was not like the one in Prince Rupert. Their 1,000 needed to take the full brunt of 15,000 sea creatures. This alone would certainly lead to numerous deaths. Tasha furrowed her eyebrows, raised her hand, and created 4 lightning arrows. At the same time, Jack raised his warhammer and roared, "Here they come, soldiers. The fate of this battle depends on our hands. Let us show what we are capable of." "Yes, sir," the soldiers shouted in unison, shaking the ground a little with their loud voices. "Gunners, take aim." The gunners and Tasha aimed at the very front of the sea creatures, waiting for Jack's order. 100 meters, 50 meters. Jack had yet to give an order, making the soldiers anxious. It was when the magical beasts were only 10 meters away from them. Jack shouted, "Fire!" The bullets and arrows flew at the same time, piercing through the sea creatures. They rolled around because of the momentum, moving toward the soldiers. There was a difference of speed between rolling and running. So many magical beasts tripped over these gigantic bodies. Some even needed to walk over them. This was what Jack wanted as he shouted his second order. "Fighters, use your shields. We will stop their momentum and create the first wall." They did not know what he meant by the first wall, but still took out their shield at the same time. The soldiers had been trained with many drills so that they could obey commands in the shortest time possible. Besides, with Jack leading them in the very front, how could they not follow his order? "Here we go, brace for the impact." Bam! The rolling magical beasts were stopped by the soldiers, creating a V-wall and forcing the magical beasts to split. "We will retreat 50 meters. Jack wanted to utilize these large bodies just to become their boulders, so there was no excessive death for the soldiers. Just as Sanders said, Jack might not look like it, but he was an intelligent guy. The magical beasts instinctively moved around the bodies. Unfortunately, they could not see the soldiers very well because of their size, forcing them to move forward to the left and right armies. Meanwhile, a portion of them came back and charged at the middle army. At this time, Michelle came to the front, waiting for the magical beasts to come to their way. "Soldiers, it's time for us to show our strength. Fighters, make sure you can keep up with me. No need to go to the front. Just holding them here is enough. Gunners, help us in the best way possible." Jack gave his last order before charging to the front with his warhammer. In an instant, he ordered. Michelle appeared right beside him. Cheeky Graham family's girl. Jack smirked as he swung his warhammer, crushing a 2 meters tall crab shell. The same as him, Michelle's shadow slash was strong enough to cut a hard shell, slicing a snail into 2. "Damn you, snail, you should be slow." Chapter 118. Ayaka's Battle. In the rundown house somewhere in Arizona, Ayaka's body kept twitching. Even though she had stayed in this house for a day, she still could not get used to the sight. She felt that even after living for weeks or even months, she would still not be able to stand the house interior. All she could see was a study desk made of burly wood in front of her. Right in the middle was a 30 centimeters dying mouse with many stab wounds. The wounds were slowly regenerating, but it abruptly stopped as soon as the mouse died. To the left of the mouse was a stack of neatly arranged books, numbering about 8. The wall on her right was a dark and green-layered, creepy wallpaper with yellow lamps attached to them. Diagonally beside the lamp was a giant tube shrouded in a pale green glow. It contained something that threw Ayaka off, a lion's corpse. In front of the tube sat a beautiful middle-aged woman with a devilish body. She had gray-colored hair and beautiful silver eyes. Her expressions remained flat despite watching the tube and taking a few notes. "Professor, can I get an answer already?" Ayaka asked with an impatient voice. "Haha, you are really an impatient girl. Even Kai is more polite than you." She turned around, made a teasing smile, and walked toward her. It turned out the beautiful middle-aged lady was the professor's that Kai was afraid about. "Although you are blessed with a good aptitude, it's hard for you to achieve it. There are many factors that I need to consider. But above all, it's about my promise to that little guy." She put down her notebook on the table as she leaned on the wall. "I need it. I need power. You are just power hungry. You are still a student. and I have read all of your records. To be honest, you are already a top talent among your peers." The professor rolled her eyes and shrugged. "It's not enough. If it goes on like this, I will be left in the dust." Ayaka paused for a moment, recalling the past matters that brought her to tears. "Not long ago, I wasn't even qualified to know that my grandfather died and my family was on the brink of extinction. Then Kai stretched his hand to me, helping my family and me from the brink of death. Despite wanting to help my family or him, I am powerless. They keep telling me that I can get stronger and take my time, but I am a woman who has her own dream and ambition. Those encouragements to me feel like an insult. That's why I decide to take the risk, even knowing I might not be able to meet him and my family again the next day. Even if the risk is huge, please. I beg you." The professor laughed abruptly as she made a coffee. The clicking sound of a glass and a spoon filled the room, created a tense atmosphere. This situation made Ayaka think that the professor did not have any intention to answer her as she put down the cup, sitting on her chair. "Professor." Ayaka slowly became frustrated after not getting any answer. If the professor just rejected or accepted her request, it was not this irritating. The professor ignored her for a few minutes, until she finally finished her coffee. I finally finished this. If feeling alone can beat someone or go through this, then humanity might have reclaimed the Earth. Unfortunately, that is not the case." She did not let Ayaka talk as she rose from her seat, walked toward the door, and said without any emotion, "Follow me." Ayaka did not understand her and just followed her. The rundown house was quite big, as they needed a minute before arriving in a room she never entered. There were a few tubes inside the room. The professor walked toward a computer, typed a few things before looking at Ayaka go inside one of them. Ayaka did not know what she wanted to do, but this might be her answer. Therefore, she walked inside one of them and entered a simulation world. It was a large white room without anything in it. She looked around, wondering what the professor wanted to do with this room. A few seconds later, the professor came inside while putting her hand inside the pocket of her white robe. "Well, you have many shortcomings to even be qualified. So, I will train you for now," she said before yawning like Ayaka was worth nothing in her eyes. "But, Professor," Ayaka didn't understand her meaning and was afraid to hurt her. "If you don't want to get the chance, it is fine by me. I am just testing you. If you want to get it, then come at me with whatever you have. If you can hit me once, then you pass," she said without a change of expression. Ayaka looked left and right, not knowing what to do. Ultimately, she took out her spear. If she could only get it with force, then she needed to do it. "I am sorry, Professor. I need to have it." Looking at Ayaka pointed a spear at her. The professor yawned, raised her hand and waved her finger back and forth to taunt her. "Just come. I still have many things to do. Here I go." She narrowed her eyes and charged at her, thrusting her spear on the professor's heart. She should end this battle instantly by killing the professor. Or, that was what she expected. In reality, her vision suddenly turned upside down as she was lying on the floor. The professor only snorted, "Weak." Ayaka had yet to realize it, but it was clear from the professor's point of view. "Get up." The professor looked down at her like looking at trash. "As I said earlier, if you think emotion alone can let you defeat your opponent, then the Earth has already been reclaimed by humanity." Ayaka looked up, rose from her position, and reached out to her spear before noticing the sharp pain coming from her hand. The excruciating pain jolted her mind, freezing her brain for a few seconds. She placed her hand on the painful area, but noticed something wrong. In an instant, she looked down, only finding her arm was bent in a weird direction. Her tears came out, as it might be the hardest blow she ever received. In fact, when she died in the simulation room back then, it was a quick death, so she did not really feel anything. But this pain was killing her from the inside. I have turned the pain reduction to 0, so you will feel all the pain like in the real world. I feel I have not introduced myself, right? Then let me introduce myself first. I am Ria Ross. People know me as a mad scientist, and I research many things, including the fusion between human blood and magical beast blood, calling it Zodiac. I saved Kai a few years ago when I visited United Asia. To be specific, it was after the raid of flying beasts that struck Tokyo. The little brat who was dying just to save a little lass had no other choice than fusing with the blood of a magical beast to survive. Despite having wounds all over and almost died, he uttered no word other than asking me to help the little lass. Compared to you, his determination alone far surpassed you. He managed to survive by relying on that will, though it might also be the greatest setback in my life. At first, I was intrigued by his hearing and extraordinary magic power. But, after healing him, I taught him all the necessary things he needed to protect his loved one from knowledge, soft skills, to combat. I became his instructor for about 3 years before I let him graduate from my training. Well, you can also say I am Kai Carter's master. The professor finally introduced herself. Ayaka was stupefied, never expecting this kind of introduction. There was only one thing that kept replaying in her mind. Kai's master. The thought alone startled her. She once thought about how Kai could become that strong, but knowing that he had a teacher put her mind at ease. And I have said it before. If you can't even have the same amount of willpower, I won't let you take the test. However, there is another thing that I can apply to you to train your will. The simplest way is to kill you over and over. Let's see, 100 times should be enough for now. Just tell me when you want to stop. You are free to go. Ayaka gritted her teeth and rose from the ground while enduring the pain. Even if she could not use her right hand anymore, she would continue fighting with her other hand. She created a magic circle, pointing it at Rhea. Unfortunately, Rhea was nowhere to be seen. It was at this time she suddenly felt a sharp pain on her chest. She flew toward the wall, finding that Rhea just kicked at her chest and breaking a few bones. Come on. Kai has died more than 1,000 times, Rhea said nonchalantly. If Michelle were here, she would say, that is the reason why Kai doesn't want to meet you. As for Ayaka, she could only spat blood to the ground and looked at Rhea with blurry eyes before falling to the floor. Chapter 119. First phase of the war. Not long after the battle started, the Right Army finally got their company. Marcia, who usually smiled through the day, put her serious face on before releasing her killing intent. The soldiers gasped, finding a new side of Marcia. Her gaze was so cold, freezing them in the spot, and her eyes became sharp before she shouted, all fighters will follow me as we will hold the magical beasts. Gunners, all of you focus on killing them one at a time. The middle army has sacrificed themselves to direct half of our enemies to the left army. If we can't even deal with these puny numbers, be prepared for the consequences. Yes, ma'am. The soldiers never expected Marcia to have this kind of side. Her warm nature flashed on their mind as they clenched their weapons, thinking, we will surely win the fight. Their surprise did not end there. Marcia dropped another bomb by taking out her glaive in front of them. The first weapon came in thought, after seeing Marcia would be a delicate weapon. Even if it were not a rapier and such, it would be a spear or sword. Unfortunately, their expectations were shattered twice, as they felt nothing would surprise them anymore. With a determination as well as disappointment, they picked up their weapons and roared, attack! Marcia quickly gave her orders as she ran across the field to meet these many magical beasts. Ooh! The yell echoed in the battlefield. Whether they were women or men, they shouted on top of their lungs, charging toward the magical beasts. The gunners started shooting the magical beasts, killing them one by one. Unfortunately, just like the battle in Prince Rupert, a single bullet was not enough to kill the magical beasts. They started grouping together and aiming at one magical beast at a time, according to Marcia's instruction. With 5 people shooting at the same spot simultaneously, it created a hole and killed the magical beast in a split second. For some reason, Marcia smiled and swung her glaive, blowing away a giant crab. The crab took a few sea creatures behind it and stopped the momentum of the magical beasts. For them, such events were already beyond their imaginations. Momentarily, the soldiers thought of 2 options. The first option was stopping the charge of magical beasts to protect the gunners on the back. The other option was to use the momentum that Marcia made and pushed the magical beasts. Unfortunately, the latter carried a huge risk as the magical beasts might pass through them and destroy the gunners' formation. Coming to a conclusion, they spread out to receive the entire charge of these magical beasts. The battle escalated quickly into a full brawl between the 2 parties. Marcia kept killing the sea creatures as much as possible, showing her prowess to her soldiers. This would raise the soldiers' morale and eventually rout all of the magical beasts. In the left battlefield, Sarah narrowed her eyes. With the better view from atop the hill, she could see how many the magical beasts were. The same applied to the soldiers. Although they already anticipated this sight, they still could not help but tense. "Don't be afraid," she shouted. Even the fighters at the bottom of the hill could hear her voice. They looked at her with great anticipation. "Fighters, just keep the magical beasts away from the hill. Our gunners would surely kill all of them to support you. Dying is not allowed, do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am, here they come." Oh, the fighters became a war with that surge of morale. Shirotsuka Sanae quickly descended the hill and threw both of her star knives. A green magic circle appeared right beside the star knives, boosting its speed to create a speed fast enough to shatter the magical beast's shell. The soldiers stupefied for a second before helping her to defend the hill. There was even a trace of surprise in Sarah's cold face. Although she had heard about an elite snake group that was proud of their firepower, it was still hard to believe a C or D rank like her could have that much power. Unfortunately, Sanae did not care about her thoughts and continued her killing spree. 1 minute later, she found a group of magical beasts climbing the hill, but she instantly appeared in front of them, creating a giant magic circle on the ground. The magic circle generated a huge enough wind to launch them a few meters to the air and crashed on other magical beasts. Sarah furrowed her eyebrows as she shouted, "Soldiers, support the fighters now and be careful of friendly fires." "Yes." After giving her orders, she took out her spear and descended the hill to join the fight. In the reserve army, Kai sat in a chair and closed his eyes, observing every movement of the magical beasts. It was according to the actual plan. Although the ratio between the three armies was slightly unbalanced, it was still within his expectation. Currently, the right army had around 2,000 magical beasts swarming their area, while the middle army was still waiting for his order. On the other hand, the left army was under the swarm of 5,000 sea creatures. Tasha and Michelle had yet to do something special while Sanae was fighting like crazy in the left army. She stood out like a star, throwing her star knives around and killing a large number of enemies. For the time being, her killing count was the highest in the entire battlefield. "How is it going? Is there any movement from the enemy?" General Sanders asked, wondering if Kai was asleep or just paying attention. Kai slowly opened his eyes, rose from his seat, and answered with a serious expression. "It's according to the plan. I haven't heard any voices today, so we can assume they are still not here. And I believe you should also get ready, sir. The flying beasts horde would come in 5 minutes. The battlefield most likely situated between the middle and left armies. If possible, I want you to get closer to the middle army instead of the left army. Although the left army is better in dealing with magical beasts with a high number of gunners, they have taken more magical beasts than any other armies, so..." Kai didn't continue. "I see. If I am the enemy, I will move a portion of magical beasts and rout the left army first. However, if we are closer to the right army, we can send reinforcement to chase the magical beasts in case they attack the left army." General Sanders realized his plan instantly. "When are you going to make the wall?" "In a minute or so, until the magical beasts in the right army almost reached 3,000, Kai answered without hesitation. "All right. Just beware that the army might pull some kind of stunt sooner or later." General Sanders turned around and left without waiting for Kai's reply. In exactly a minute later, Kai rose from his seat and ordered, "Wall." With just a single word from him, the middle army quickly realized what they needed to do, or at least, Jack. He roared to the soldiers, "Here it comes. Soldiers. The 2 reserves will go flanks on our right to stop the enemy advance and form a wall. We will keep a portion of them on us, while directing the rest to the left army." As soon as they heard the command, 400 fighters went around, cutting off the magical beast's flow to the right army. They created a formation to receive the magical beasts before erecting a barrier. Unbeknownst to them, Tasha and Michelle were planning something. As soon as there was a stop in the flow, a few magical beasts turned around to help the others, but Michelle intercepted them. She clapped her hand, created a magic circle to envelop more than 50 giant sea creatures, and teleported them to the sky. The battle was hard fought, so the soldiers had yet to realize what was going on until the magical beasts were low enough to come into the scope of their views. It was at this time their focus was distracted a bit and glanced at the sky. Jack quickly realized what this was and laughed. "Gahaha, it's really a magical beast rain. This is really hilarious." Boom, boom, boom. The giant creatures fell down on the magical beasts, killing both of them instantly. It spread around the area and stopped the momentum, giving the soldiers a chance to reinforce the wall. At the same time, Michelle appeared out of the blue, slashing her sword downwards. Shadow slash. The sword shot out a powerful sword strike and left a dark fire on its trail. She aimed perfectly where the wall should be. With this position, the soldiers could easily topple the sea creatures and direct them to the left. If Jack were not stupid, she would play along with this plan. As she predicted, Jack quickly recognized the black fire and thrilled with it. Haha, those two girls are really the best. As one would expect from two S-rank magicians, he quickly shouted. Soldiers, follow the black fire and set up 2 layers of defense behind it. Hurry up before the magical beasts realized they could cross the black fire easily. The soldiers had their captains that took charge of them and quickly set up the defense according to the plan. The gunners behind them went around to the back of the new set-up defense. With the momentum on the right and the wall in front, the magical beasts would have no choice other than to the left. This will quickly make the left busy and maybe put some expression in that cold beauty. Jack smirked, picturing Sarah's surprised face. Chapter 120, The Enemy Start to Move. As the battle progressed, the sea creatures coming to the left army began increasing, adding an expression on Sarah's cold face. She stopped fighting in the front line and climbed the hill again to observe the situation. The battle just began for 30 minutes, and all she could see was a huge swarm of magical beasts. Even her fighters started getting overwhelmed. 5,000. Although it will take a while, more will be coming. Looking at that clown, we will most likely fight 7,000 magical beasts with our 1,000. This will be a gruesome battle, even with high ground advantage. Sarah clenched the spear in her hand and looked at Shirotsuka Sanae, who was killing those magical beasts like a machine. That woman won't last long if she continues killing that way. I have made this hill become a traditional fortress, so I can only watch what would happen next. She shook her head and came to the gunners. Gunners, look at my signal and aim the magical beasts around there. I will lead the fighters to push them back. The gunners stopped shooting for 1 second, glancing at her. Unfortunately, with the lack of force from the gunners, they pushed the fighters a little bit, startling them as they quickly shot again. Sarah clapped her hand, made a magic circle, and created a small ice crystal. Unlike Jack and Marcia, she had enough power to use her magic, making her not reliant on her weapon, Ice Blaster. The ice crystal didn't explode or something. Instead, it was grabbed by Sarah as she made her way to the front line. Using her agility, she leaped around by stepping on the giant shells until she reached a certain point where she threw the ice crystal inside. Boom! An explosion occurred in the middle of the enemy, creating a huge spike of ice that was very visible to the gunners. The moment this crystal made its appearance, the gunners understood what she meant earlier and started shooting at that area, holding them back. At this time, Sarah already came back to the fighter line as she shouted, "All fighters will charge alongside me. We need to restart the battle and push them out of the hill. In this period of time, you are not allowed to go back to get healed, as this will be a very important mission. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am," the fighters shouted in unison. "Good," Sarah nodded, raising her spear and cutting down one of the beasts as she said, "Charge!" Ooh, just like the left situation. The middle army also had their difficulty. The first and foremost problem was to direct the magical beasts to the left. Due to their number and size, it was hard for Jack to calculate how many had passed through them. Even though Kai would be taking command on the timing, it would still put him to ease just to know how many they had directed. With their limited 1,000, 5,000 giant sea creatures made them look like an endless stream. For Jack and the soldiers, it could pummel their morale bit by bit. He looked around to see his soldiers' condition, and he couldn't say they were doing good. Tasha and Michelle helped them, but not much. After the first magical beast's reign, Tasha didn't do it anymore because she wouldn't have enough magic power to last the whole fight. Jack had no clue about Tasha and Michelle other than their achievement, so he could only nod and let her do what she wanted. Halfway, Tasha even pulled back, stationing herself with the other gunners while Michelle fought together to conserve her strength. They continued to endure the full brunt of the magical beasts, slowly pushing them back to the city. Suddenly, Michelle appeared in the middle war, right beside Jack. It will be hard to maintain our position like this. I know that already, Jack gritted his teeth, observing his soldiers' faces. Even if we retreat to the town and start phase 2 early, we won't be able to take down all of them considering the unbalanced number of our fighters and gunners. That's why I can't order a retreat. Seems we only have one choice. Michelle sighed after confirming Jack's opinion. Commander Jack, as soon as you see my skill inside the enemy, it means there is a gap inside their rank. I want you and your soldiers to push them back even a little. Jack had a hard time picturing what she wanted to do. Even if you are that Michelle Graham, I can't follow your order on a whim. I still need to take care of the lives of 1,000 soldiers. Ah, Michelle was frustrated. If Kai were here, Jack would surely nod his head without thinking much, but Michelle didn't have any accomplishment in the army. After all, for a few years she was in school doing missions and other things. She only completed normal or special missions. There was no relation between those missions and the army, so Michelle wasn't famous in the army, making it hard to trust her plan. She pondered for a moment before saying, "Remember the last Black Fire attack? I will cut down every magical beast in a single line to create a gap for you to push back." Jack furrowed his eyebrows, pondered for a moment, and asked, "But are you going to be all right?" He noticed it earlier, but that technique carried a huge amount of magic power, so he felt Michelle couldn't use it many times. The answer came in the form of a smile. "There is still a few minutes before the sunrise. It's not going to be what you think. If you don't trust Michelle Graham, then please trust the eldest daughter of the Graham family." As soon as Michelle said her piece, she disappeared, coming back to her position. Her shadow power needed more magic power to operate under sunlight, and the sun already shone on the horizon. But it still needed a few minutes before illuminating this battlefield. Under the darkness, Michelle might be able to use her twice of her power with half effort. And in this situation, with the little darkness that would soon be washed away, it was still enough for her to conserve a portion of her power. Michelle wanted to take advantage of this to give the last push for the army until Kai's order arrived. After becoming punching bags for these magical beasts, the soldiers had terrible expressions, forcing Michelle to think of this possibility. She rose both of her swords, enveloping it with her shadow magic. The dark, blazing fire was even bigger than the previous shadow slash used to guide the army. After channeling in magic power, she slashed downwards, shooting out a powerful sword slash. The two sword strikes cut down every single sea creature in their way. Even a turtle was split into two, cleanly, including its shell. Michelle's dark flame rose to the sky, even higher than the giant sea creatures, signaling Jack to move. She didn't stop there. The moment the gap was created, she placed her hand on the ground, creating a black magic circle. Her shadow slowly spread out toward the dead magical beasts, reviving the shadow of the dead magical beasts. Shadow manipulation doll. The two parts that had been split cleanly slowly attached back, like stitching the two parts into one. Around 20 giant shadows rose in the battlefield, stopping the magical beast's advance. This would drain a huge amount of magic power, but it was worth the effort, as Jack would certainly make a turnaround in this situation. Although Jack was not aware of what happened in the middle of the enemy, the black wall alone was enough for him to make a decision. Though I don't like it, there is no other way. He clicked his tongue, complained, and turned around before commanding the army. All of you can see that black wall over there. We need to push the magical beasts to that wall. There are only 500 in front of us. At the moment, fighters will pair up with the person beside you and kill the magical beasts. Remember, you only have 1 minute to kill the magical beasts. If you understand, then go. Jack shattered the magic beast in front of him and led the group to charge. After 1 minute, Michelle started sweating, feeling that she had lost around a third of her magic power in only 1 minute. Luckily, Jack's group managed to catch up, setting up a new wall in front. Michelle quickly retracted her magic, letting the giant shadow crumble. She let out a relieved breath before resting for a while. In the reserve army, Kai furrowed his eyebrows, never expecting Michelle to be that reckless. Considering Tasha had more than enough magic, she should do that instead. However, he could somehow understand Michelle's reason, which was supposed to be the worst-case scenario where Kai needed to use the teleportation magic. However, even after spending half of the magic, Kai should still have enough to teleport 25 people to Columbia. He could only sigh and observe the other battlefield before hearing another thing from the enemy. Skelter, Sia Meter, Morg, Kottels, Snonmen, Rutnul, Roa. Kai furrowed his eyebrows, not understanding a single thing in their conversation. Due to the tone both creatures produced, one thing was for sure: they were going to command the magical beasts. In that instant, Kai even believed that the enemy would move their magical beasts to the left army and ready to swarm them. However, the sound of flying beasts started echoing inside his ears, making him recognize their real plan. He rose from his feet, turned around, and shouted to the leader of the base, General Sanders.